Upon learning that the female CEO intended to drain my sister's blood to save the green tea male lead, I rushed to the hospital and kicked the doors open. Seeing my sister had already lost too much blood and was on the verge of fainting, I was consumed by a towering rage. The doctors all turned toward the door to see a young man in black standing there, radiating an aura far more terrifying than Liu Xiao's. The director was about to shout for me to leave when I sent him flying with a single kick. The nurse, drawing blood, stared wide-eyed, instinctively clutching the syringe. A split second later, a crack sounded from her wrist. Her screams echoed as I swiftly pulled out the needle and connected a fresh blood bag to my sister's vein. My sister weakly opened her eyes and called out. My hand paused for a moment as I gently rubbed her small head. At the doorway, 3 subordinates stood dumbfounded. They had never seen the boss show such an expression. Suddenly, a dozen bodyguards surrounded the room, and Liu Xiao walked in with a dark expression. Seeing the blood flow reversed, her face turned livid. "It seems I've been too merciful lately," she said coldly, ordering the bodyguard captain to dispose of us. The bodyguards had barely moved before my 3 subordinates instantly subdued them. Liu Xiao narrowed her eyes, acting superior. "A salary of 10 million a year, come work for me." One of my subordinates, Disha, sneered while playing with a small knife. "With that pittance, you think you're worthy?" Liu Xiao suddenly attacked, but Disha slashed her with a blade. Disha mocked. "Is this all you've got? And you want to fight me?" Liu Xiao gritted her teeth. "Who exactly are you people?" Disha blocked her wrist. "You aren't worthy of knowing. Boss, how do we handle this?" I smiled faintly. Doesn't she want to save her fiancé? Bring him here. Half a minute later, Yi Yanfeng was tossed in like a piece of trash. I looked him over. "So this is your fiancé? I thought he'd be someone special. How disappointing." Liu Xiao's eyes were cold. "You are seeking death." I sneered. I happen to enjoy challenging boundaries. I signaled Disha to make her kneel, forced to the ground. I threw an empty blood bag at her. "Weren't you trying to save someone? Use your own blood." Disha began drawing her blood efficiently. Yi Yanfeng tried to stop it but was slapped away. Liu Xiao watched helplessly as her blood steadily drained. I instructed Disha, "Isn't her fiancé in a hurry for blood? Saving lives is urgent. Transfuse her blood into him." As Disha walked toward Yi Yanfeng, Liu Xiao panicked completely, shouting, "You!" Disha curled her lips. "In this world, there is nothing I dare not do except cross the boss." Yi Yanfeng scrambled back in terror. "No! Our blood types don't match. This will kill someone." Disha grabbed his arm, rendering him immobile, and began the transfusion. Liu Xiao's face turned red. "Let him go. If anything happens to him, you all will die." I smiled thinly. "Since you put it that way, it seems I can't let you leave here alive today." Liu Xiao's heart tightened. "If I die, the consequences are more than you can bear, right?" My smile deepened. "I'd like to see if there's anyone I can't kill." I slammed a large blood bag onto the ground. "Keep drawing until it's dry." The moment the needle pierced him, Yi Yanfeng screamed in a breakdown. "Save me! I don't want to die!" Just then, a powerful woman appeared at the door with a dozen bodyguards. "Aunt!" Liu Xiao cried out in joy. Yi Yanfeng grabbed onto this hope like a lifeline. "Aunt, save me! They are pumping Liu Xiao's blood into me." Liu Xian coldly scanned the room and commanded me, "Release them." I asked unhurriedly, "And if I say no?" Liu Xian's expression changed drastically as she strode forward. When she was 3 meters away, a silver needle suddenly flew out and pierced her chest accurately. I said plainly, "I only want the lives of these 2. Get out now and I might overlook your presence. But if you scare my sister, the entire Liu family will be buried with you." Murderous intent flashed in Liu Xian's eyes. "You are the first in Yun City who dares oppose the Liu family." I smirked. Then I looked forward to the consequences. Yi Yanfeng had already received half the blood and was groaning in pain. After weighing her options, Liu Xian finally lowered her stance. "Release them. Name your price." I shook my head with a light laugh. "Too late," Liu Xian roared. "You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit." With a flick of my wrist, 2 silver needles forced her to kneel upright. Then, dozens of needles flew out simultaneously, and all the bodyguards collapsed. Looking at the slumped Liu family members, Yi Yanfeng suddenly shrieked, "It's all Liu Xiao's fault. I tried to talk her out of it." Liu Xiao stared in disbelief. I looked at her playfully. "Hear that? Still think I was wrong to call him scum?" Yi Yanfeng nodded frantically. Yes, I am scum. Please let me go." He thought I'd release him, but I sneered. "In that case, I definitely can't let you go." Yi Yanfeng turned pale, struggling. "Killing is against the law. If I die, you'll pay with your life." My eyes turned icy. "The law? Did you think of the law when you were draining my sister's blood?" Suddenly, a majestic female voice came from the door. What bold words! A female police director in her 40s burst in with her men. Seeing the bodies of the guards, her expression shifted. Yi Yanfeng cried out, "Director Zhang! He's going to kill me! Shoot him!" Director Zhang leveled her gun at my head. Liu Xian immediately ordered, "Kill him! I will take responsibility for the consequences." I smiled calmly. "Zhang Lin, 5 years ago when I left Yun City, you were just a jailer. You've been promoted?" Director Zhang trembled, her gun becoming unsteady. You're out?" She turned to Liu Xian and whispered, "Head of the Liu family, I cannot handle this matter. You should settle peacefully." Liu Xian looked at me in shock and finally softened her tone. "Release Xiao and Yanfeng. The Liu family is willing to pay any price." I said coldly, "Destroying your family is a matter of a single sentence. Today, they must die." Liu Xian threatened through gritted teeth. "Xiao's mother is a 1-star commander of the War Department. You dare touch her daughter?" I reflected for a moment. Out of respect for her mother's service to the country, I can spare Liu Xiao's life. Liu Xian breathed a sigh of relief, only for me to continue. "But she cannot escape punishment. Break both her legs." 2 crisp cracks followed. Liu Xiao's legs snapped and she let out a shrill scream. Looking at the dying Yi Yanfeng, I turned to leave. "The Liu family must give me an explanation within 3 days, or I will pay a personal visit." After Liu Xiao was dragged away, Director Zhang hesitated before helping Liu Xian up. Liu Xian said coldly, "See you tomorrow at the foot of Qingyun Peak. I will give you an explanation and a great gift." I raised an eyebrow. "I'll warn you first. If the gift disappoints me, I will make you pay, even if the Liu family has a great commander backing them." Liu Xian looked at me as if I were a dead man. The doctors and nurses shivered. Disha asked how to handle them. "Kill them," Disha advised. "Boss, killing in the open is too flashy." I picked up my sister and spoke softly. "Then break their limbs and throw them out." Amidst screams, I went to the next room and laid my sister gently on the bed. A subordinate, Zhang Yuan, hurried over. "Boss, we found the treasure." "Where?" "In the Li family." I laughed. What a coincidence. Even without the treasure, I was going to the Li family. If the old matriarch hadn't forced the original owner to marry their old woman, I wouldn't have been reborn in this body. I walked out. "To the Li family." At the Lai family banquet hall, the head of the family ran in excitedly. "Dad, Commander Zhang is coming to congratulate you on your birthday." The old man almost dropped his prayer beads. "Prepare the highest specification banquet. Bring out the ivory chairs. Call everyone. Whoever can keep Commander Zhang here, I'll give them 10% of the family assets." The family head nodded repeatedly. The old man trembled with excitement. "God bless the Li family!" Soon the family had returned to report. "Everything is ready, but my eldest sister-in-law isn't home." The old man slammed the armrest. "Didn't I tell her not to go out?" The family head replied, "I heard her son is released from prison today. She went to wait there since dawn." A ruthless look flashed in the old man's eyes. "Bring her back! Send people to wait at the prison gate. If you see that bastard, bring him back directly. I'll handle him personally." Half an hour later, the Lai family was lined up. Outside the gate, Li Shang whispered to his mother, Tang Qi, "Mom, is Commander Zhang really coming?" "Of course. I was there when her aide came to notify us." Tang Qi whispered, "Son, perform well. If you can climb onto Commander Zhang." Li Shang interrupted. "How old is she? She's not some hag, is she?" 28 years old. School beauty level." Just as she spoke, a military SUV arrived. When the door opened, everyone's smiles froze. The old man recognized me first. "You animal! Why is it you?" I looked at everyone. "I'm back. Not welcome? Tang Chi immediately jumped out. You murderer! If you hadn't killed the old lady Zhang, the Li family would have been a first-tier family long ago, Li Sheng shouted. Grandpa letting you serve old lady Jiang was an honor. Scum like you should have just killed yourself in prison. He threw a few bills at my feet. Kneel, pick up the money, and get out. Before he finished, a slap sent Li Xiang flying 3 meters. The scene fell dead silent. Tang Chi screamed and rushed to her son. The old man shook with rage. Men, beat this animal to death. The bodyguards didn't budge. Are you deaf? The Li family doesn't pay for useless trash. The old man roared, but before he could finish, a young voice spoke. Don't bother. These are bodyguards from the War Department. Jiang Xiqi stepped slowly out of the car. Old man Lai looked like a choked duck, his face turning red. He didn't understand why Jiang Xiqi was in the same car as me, but he suppressed his shock and forced a smile. Commander Jiang, I am Jiyu Chen's biological grandfather. Those words were for his own good, I sneered. For my own good? Then I don't mind repaying you. I walked toward him. With every step, the color drained from his face. The first slap knocked out 3 teeth. This is for your greed, T. He second followed immediately. This is for your lack of dignity. After 9 slaps, the old man sat on the floor, mouth full of blood, cursing, Animal, I am your grandfather. Suddenly, a trembling voice called out, A Chen? I turned to see a frail woman in tears. Mom, I called softly. She approached, but seeing the old man's venomous gaze, she grabbed my hand. Let's go! Mom will take you away. The old man snarled. Break his legs, or both of you get out of the Li family. My mother turned pale and was about to kneel for mercy, but I held her up. Mom, don't beg him. The old man felt uncertain at my tone, but remembering the weak me of the past, and thinking I had just come from prison to beg for food, he regained his confidence. He ordered my mother, You discipline your son, break his legs or you are both expelled. My mother's breath hitched. I had just gotten out of prison. She hoped I could study. With a criminal record, I couldn't find work, and she had to care for her young daughter. If expelled, the 3 of us would starve. And with the old man's cruelty, he wouldn't let them live. She let go of me and pleaded, Dad, it's all my fault. Punish me however you want. Just spare Ah-Chen. She went to kneel, but I caught her before she hit the ground. I scanned the crowd coldly. We should have left this Li family long ago. As for breaking legs, I snapped my fingers. Crack, crack. Old man Lai's kneecaps shattered. He screamed like a dying pig. Animal, what did you do to me? I looked down coldly. Didn't you want to break legs? A broken leg is a broken leg. What does it matter whose it is? The second aunt, Tang Chi, reacted first, pointing at me. Jiyu Chen, he's your grandfather. How could you? Li Xiang joined in. Cousin, Grandpa might have been harsh, but it was for your sake. The Li family members began chirping in condemnation. Old man Li suddenly reached toward Jiang Xiqi. Commander Jiang, you saw it. This monster wants to kill his grandfather. Jiang Xiqi's face stiffened. Even if he wasn't your grandfather, breaking legs earns you jail time. The old man got excited. Sentence him to life. No, execution. Jiang Xiqi's heart hammered. I turned and laughed. Jiang Xiqi, you heard that? The old man roared. Bastard! You dare call the commander by her name! Arrest him! Jiang Xiqi took a deep breath. Men! The Li family smirked. My mother jumped in front of me. Please! Mom, leave it to me. I helped her into the car. As I closed the door, I heard Tang Chi's flattering voice. Commander, don't be angry. Please come inside. Thump! Jiang Xiqi kicked Tang Chi over. The soldiers instantly controlled the Li family. Jiang Xiqi suddenly saluted me. Commander Jiyu. Please instruct. The silence was deafening. What did you call him? I walked to the old man. Who was it that wanted me executed? The old man was hysterical. Impossible! I am your grandfather. I command you to release us. I slapped him to the ground. Command me? You aren't worthy. Looking at the slumped old man, I sneered. Now you know fear. When you sent me to prison back then, why didn't you think of today? The old man glanced at me with disdain and turned back to Jiang Xiqi. Commander Jiang, he's just a bastard. He's not worthy of you. We have plenty of good boys in the Li family. Li Xiang stepped forward. Commander Jiang, I've loved you from the first sight. Could you give me a chance? Jiang Ziqi was speechless. The bodyguards exchanged looks. The Li family's logic was truly bizarre, I sneered. Save it. The commander wouldn't look at someone like you. I turned to the guards. Take them all to the Yun City prison. Process them for insulting high-level War Department officials. The old man panicked. Commander Jiang, we didn't insult you. This bastard has no right to represent the War Department. Seeing her unmoved, he had a bright idea. We are willing to offer the Li family heirloom as an apology. My eyes lit up, and I signaled for a pause. I didn't expect to find it so easily. The Li family erupted. No, that's our hope. We'd rather go to jail than give it up. The old man barked, Idiots! Do you want me to die in prison? He turned to Jiang Ziqi. Let my son go fetch the treasure. Soon the family head brought a white jade box, his face full of regret. No one in the Li family can master this treasure. I hope it can find its value with you. Jiang Ziqi took the box and handed it directly to me. Inside lay a crystal-textured red card with an ancient me, ego/self, character engraved in the center. Everyone held their breath. This was a legendary star card. In the entire country, there are no more than 10 star messengers, each a pillar of the nation. I suppressed my excitement, but as I touched it, I frowned. The lock rune in the bottom right corner meant the card was currently unusable. It seemed the path to gathering the 5-element star cards still had obstacles. I asked the Li family, This card is sealed. Did your ancestors say how to unseal it? The family head frowned. What seal? From his reaction, I had my answer. I scanned the others and realized they had no idea the card was even sealed. Old Man Li looked at me with dissatisfaction but didn't dare speak. He said cautiously to Jiang Ziqi, Commander, consider this a gift from the Li family. Can you let us go now? Jiang Ziqi looked at me, not daring to answer. I spoke plainly. You should thank your ancestors. If not for this item, all of you would be facing life in prison. I ordered the soldiers. Old Man Li, Tang Qi, and Li Xiang are to be handled according to law for insulting a high-ranking official. The rest of the family is under house arrest. Don't let them out to annoy me until I leave Yun City. They were stunned. Insulting a high-ranking commander was equivalent to insulting the nation, a heavy crime. And with house arrest, the massive Li group would face bankruptcy. The old man screamed, Slander! You animal, this is slander. He pleaded with Jiang Ziqi. I never said a harsh word to you. Jiang Ziqi's gaze was full of pity. Old man, you probably don't know. The person you just kicked out of your family is the youngest high commander in the country. Her words were like a bomb. They still saw me as the trash. Who wouldn't even fart if bullied? They couldn't accept that the wretch who went to prison had returned as someone they could only look up to. I looked at her. Why bother talking to them? Jiang Ziqi's heart skipped a beat, and she signaled her men to take them away. Regret flooded the Li family. A high commander under 20 was destined to be a top figure in the nation. Even as a 1-star, I could have elevated the Li family by several tiers. They had missed their chance to fly, and instead offended me into hell. Fear replaced regret. Old Man Li pleaded, Chen, Grandpa was wrong. For the sake of the Li family raising you, let us go. I watched him like a clown. Seeing I wouldn't stop the guards, he turned to shouting, Animal, I'm your grandfather. Sending me to jail is a sin against heaven. I remained unmoved. He panicked and yelled, The Lin family commander is a 3-star high commander. Old Lady Zhang died because of you. He won't let you go. Let me go and I'll plead for you. Jiang Ziqi found this ironic. Ji Chen's battlefield achievements were unmatched. Even if she and the Lin commander were both 3 stars, the Lin commander would be the one in trouble in a fight. Most importantly, the higher-ups wanted me to rise even further. Suddenly, her phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, her breath hitched. The voice on the other end made her respect for me grow even deeper. The top figure of the War Department was already flying to Yun City just for me. Following the instructions, she said her goodbyes and rushed to the base. I took my mother to the hospital where Ji Yuan was, unaware that Li Shang, on his way to prison, had contacted the Lin family. At the Yun City heliport, Great Chief Feng Chen stepped off the plane, radiating authority. Jiang Ziqi saluted. The matter with Commander Ji Yu is settled. Feng Chen sighed. I've invited him to be the 4th Great Chief twice. Wanted to try again at the summit, but then this happened. If he refuses again, where will I put my old face? Jiang Ziqi was stunned. A position everyone dreamed of, and the boss had turned it down 3 times. The Liu family challenged him for tomorrow. You will watch with me. Jiang Siki thought of the Lin family threat. If they knew the great chief had invited me 3 times, they would collapse. Not to mention, Li Xiao's mother, 1-star commander Liu Fanxing, was currently heading to the Liu family. She worried for me. At the hospital, I got a call from my intelligence team. Boss, we found a lead. There's only one unsealed star card in history, located in the Earth City, but we need to confirm the location. Also, we found the woman you were looking for. She's at the Earth City Academy. My breath caught as a beautiful face appeared in my mind. The woman who hid her brilliance for me. Prepare. I'm going to Earth City. The report continued. The Liu mother and daughter are gathering people at Qingyun Peak. Liu Fanxing is on her way. She seems unaware of your identity. I replied, if she's sensible, I'll overlook it. If she interferes, I won't show mercy. I reached Ji Yuan's room. My mother saw her pale face and started crying. What happened to Wan Wan? I explained briefly. My mother whispered, the old man actually agreed to let them drain her blood? How could he be so cruel? I comforted her. My mother went to the restroom and dialed a number that had been dormant for years. Mother nodded, and using the excuse of going to the bathroom, she left the ward. She pulled out her phone and, with a determined look in her eyes, dialed a number that had been covered in dust for many years. At noon the next day, 2 people arrived in front of the hospital's VIP ward. The man was named Lin Feifan, the nephew of the current head of the Lin family. He was originally going to the Li family to handle some matters, but hearing that Ji Yu was coming to the hospital, he followed along. When the 2 walked into the ward, Mother Ji Yu was preparing lunch for Ji Yuan. Steamed buns, stir-fried green vegetables, and 2 boiled eggs. Ji Yuan had not had a full meal in a long time. Who are you? Mother Ji Yu looked at the newcomers in confusion. Auntie. I am Ji Yu, the young girl said with a smile. Grandmother sent me to help. Mother froze for a moment, then revealed a gratified smile. It turned out that she had contacted the family last night, and Ji Yu was the warrior sent to help. Lin Feifan sized up Mother Ji Yu, feeling she looked somewhat familiar. When he saw the food on the table, he immediately furrowed his brows. Even beggars wouldn't eat this kind of stuff. You have the nerve to use it to entertain us? Ji Yuan stared blankly at Lin Feifan, not understanding why he said that. To her, this was already rare. Good food. I spoke coldly. These things are for people to eat, not for feeding dogs. Disha, throw them out. Lin Feifan suddenly waved his hand, sweeping all the bowls and chopsticks on the table to the floor. Ji Yuan hurriedly jumped off the bed, wanting to pick up the food that hadn't completely spilled. Seeing Ji Yuan reach out to pick it up, Lin Feifan raised his foot, about to stomp down. There were broken porcelain pieces on the ground. If this foot landed, it would definitely injure Ji Yuan's hand. Just as I was about to act, with a crisp snap, Ji Yu fiercely slapped Lin Feifan across the face. Apologize to my aunt, Ji Yu said coldly, otherwise get lost back home. Lin Feifan stared at her in disbelief. Ji Yu, don't think just because I like you that you can do whatever you want. I'll say it one last time. Ji Yu said word by word, apologize to my aunt. Lin Feifan's face was full of rage, glaring viciously at Ji Yu. Ji Yu, I, Lin Feifan, will make you regret the words you said today. After finishing, Lin Feifan turned to leave. Just as he turned, Disha blocked his path with an extremely ugly expression. Lin Feifan suddenly struck out, wanting to slap Disha away. Move! However, before he even touched Disha, a force he could not resist suddenly struck. Lin Feifan was sent flying directly. Whether by coincidence or not, his body crashed right onto those fragments. His body was instantly sliced with several gashes, and fresh blood seeped from the wounds, quickly staining his casual clothes red. Yet, Lin Feifan seemed unable to feel the pain, looking at the ultimate warrior, Disha, in disbelief. He never imagined that in this tiny Yun city, an ultimate warrior would actually appear. Disha just looked at him coldly, not speaking. He was waiting for my orders. Killing someone here would cause a lot of trouble later, but as long as I ordered it, he would not hesitate in the slightest. I didn't say anything more to Disha. I just looked at Lin Feifan indifferently. Lin Feifan was at the peak of wretchedness at this moment. Disha's voice was cold. Eat everything on the ground. Lin Feifan's anger flared. You think having a warrior protecting you allows you to be lawless? I'm telling you, my Earth City Lin family wants to crush you more easily than crushing an ant. Without waiting for Lin Fifan to continue, I looked at Disha and said, help him eat. Disha acknowledged with a yes, and immediately walked to Lin Fifan's side. After crouching down, he grabbed Lin Fifan's hair and with the other hand grabbed the vegetables from the floor, forcibly stuffing them into Lin Fifan's mouth. Lin Fifan struggled desperately, trying to spit out the vegetables, but under Disha's control, no matter how he struggled, he couldn't break free from Disha's restraint. Let go! Gradually, he stopped struggling, looking at me with resentment. Soon, almost all the food on the ground was stuffed into Lin Fifan's stomach. I pulled Ji Wan over, rubbing her small hand that had almost been injured, and looked at Lin Fifan indifferently. Break the hand that just threw the plates yourself. Lin Fifan's pupils shrank. He never expected that a bumpkin from a small city would not only have an ultimate warrior, but also be so ruthless. I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. I can give you anything you want, please let me go. I remained cold. If I have someone help you, it won't be just one hand that gets broken. Lin Fifan panicked completely. I'll give you 100 million. 100 million to let me go. I began the countdown. 3, 2. Before I could count the last number, Lin Fifan's eyes widened, and he screamed shrilly, "You dog thing! Don't go too far." As soon as his words fell, two sounds of breaking bones rang out almost simultaneously. Lin Fifan couldn't help but scream. I just glanced at him indifferently. You should be glad this isn't an overseas battlefield. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as simple as breaking your two hands. Afterward, I turned to Disha and ordered in a low voice, "Take him down. Don't scare my mother and sister." Disha quickly responded, and a few seconds later, Lin Fifan disappeared from the ward. I contacted Di Qing to call the hotel manager and had food delivered. Ji Wan ate the best meal of her life. After the meal, I pulled out a golden bank card. Mom, take this. If you need anything, go directly to the bank to withdraw. Mother Ji hurriedly declined. Keep it. Mom doesn't need it. I continued. Wan Wan is at the age where she is growing. Even if you don't think for yourself, think for Wan Wan. Don't worry, there isn't much money in it. Hearing what I said about Ji Wan, Mother Ji hesitated for a moment and finally accepted the card. In the blink of an eye, it was 4:30 in the afternoon. I ordered people to protect Mother Ji and Ji Wan, then took Disha and Ji Yu to King Yun Peak, as agreed with Liu Xian. Ji Yu understood the general situation. Thinking of how Liu Xiao almost drained Ji Wan's blood, she wished she could finish off this beast herself. But Ji Yu didn't expect that when we arrived at the foot of Qing Yun Peak, we actually saw Lin Fifan. His two hands were wrapped up like pig's trotters. Ji Yu's brow furrowed. Why are you here? Hearing this, Lin Fifan suddenly laughed, though his laughter was somewhat eerie. Why would I be here? I came to Yun City specifically for this little bastard. Ji Yu was slightly startled. What did you say? Lin Fifan sneered. You don't know yet? This little bastard is the murderer who killed my grandmother. It was their family's honor that my grandmother took an interest in him back then, but he disliked my grandmother for being old and killed her on the night she was prepared to sleep with him. Originally, I only wanted to send this little bastard back to prison to let him linger for a lifetime, but since he doesn't know what's good for him, don't blame me for being ruthless. Hearing Lin Fifan's words, Ji Yu's heart instantly tightened. If old lady Lin died because of me, that 3-star high commander of the Lin family would definitely not let me go. What should she do? How could she help me? I looked at Lin Fifan, a cold glint flashing in my eyes as if looking at a dead man. Before Ji Yu could think further, a group of people suddenly appeared not far away. As they drew closer, a powerful aura swept over. After feeling the momentum of the 3 people at the front, Ji Yu's eyes widened. 3 ultimate warriors? No, more than 3 ultimate warriors. There were also 10 primary warriors, and nearly 200 ordinary experts. At this point, Ji Yu took a sharp breath and turned to look at me. The Liu family is just a small family. Being able to hire 1 ultimate warrior should be their limit. How could 3 ultimate warriors come? Disha gave her a look of disdain. 3 is just 3. What's the big deal? The people drew closer and closer. Ji Yu spoke anxiously. We are no match for them. Go! Hurry! Seeing Ji Yu's anxious appearance, Disha was clearly speechless. Go where? If we really weren't their match, Do you think running away would solve anything? Hearing Dish's words, Ji-Yu-Yu's face froze. The next moment, she let her hands drop powerlessly. Yes, with so many experts on the opposite side, even if we run, where can we go? Hearing Disha's words of resignation, Lin Feifan couldn't help but sneer. At least you are sensible. He looked at me with resentment. Because time was too tight, the family couldn't temporarily pull out experts to come and help him get revenge on me. But he found out what kind of preparations the Liu family had made for today's challenge. He came this time just to watch Jianming, this bastard, kneel like a dog under Liu Xian's pomegranate skirt, begging her to spare him. At that time, he would reveal his identity to Liu Jian and use his marriage contract with her as a condition to let Liu Jian hand this bastard over to him to handle. The Liu family crowd stopped 10 meters away from us. I remained calm and composed. Liu Xian's eyes showed surprise. I scanned Liu Xiao in the wheelchair and the rest of the Liu family, finally settling on Liu Xian. It's just a peace offering. Do you need so many people to follow? Hearing my words, a look of amusement appeared on Liu Xian's face. Peace offering? I indeed came to deliver a peace offering, but before I give it, I want to see if you have the qualification to receive it. I sighed. I gave you 1 day to prepare the offering, but you used it to prepare how to deal with me. The head of the Liu family is untrustworthy and must pay a price. Liu Xian's gaze suddenly turned cold. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Either break your own legs now and apologize to Xiao, or die. Hearing this, my lips curled, and I spoke unhurriedly. You kneel down and apologize to me now, and I can spare you this once. Otherwise, I will make you understand the meaning of regret. As soon as my words fell, everyone took a sharp breath. They had seen people who weren't afraid of death, but they had never seen one who dared to be so arrogant when death was imminent. Liu Xian spoke coldly. It seems there is no need to continue talking. In that case. Just then, a phone ringtone rang out. Liu Xian pulled out her phone and frowned. If something earth-shattering hadn't happened, no one would dare call this number. She hesitated for a moment and then answered. Hearing the voice from the other side, Liu Xian's head felt like it exploded. She was stunned like an idiot. Her hand suddenly loosened and the phone fell to the ground. Everyone at the scene heard it clearly. The people behind Liu Xian were all stunned, looking at the dropped phone and exchanging looks. What kind of call could make Liu Xian lose her composure like this? Liu Xiao, sitting in the wheelchair, looked at Liu Xian's stiff body, and a bad premonition arose in her heart. Aunt, what's wrong? Liu Xian didn't answer. She slowly turned her head to look at me, as if her gaze could kill. You did it? I looked at her with a faint smile. I said I would make you understand the meaning of regret. Liu Xian clenched her fists, a creaking sound coming from between her fingers. Liu Xiao panicked even more. Aunt, what on earth happened? Liu Xian took a deep breath, her voice hoarse. The group is gone. Liu Xiao's pupils shrank. She instinctively took out her phone and saw an incoming call. She took a deep breath, her fingers trembling as she answered. The group is finished. Liu Xiao's heart constricted. She hurriedly asked, What exactly is going on? The group was fine before I came. In less than an hour, how could the group suddenly be finished? The voice on the phone said, the group's database was attacked, and all information was leaked. You also know many things inside cannot be brought into the light. Relevant departments have already started to intervene. Our group cannot withstand an investigation. Hearing this, Liu Xiao's eyes involuntarily widened. How could it be leaked? How could that information leak? Didn't the group hire the top programmers? Are those people all useless? The other side was somewhat helpless. They said the one attacking the group's database is a world-class top hacker. Our firewall, in the eyes of the opponent, is no different from paper. Liu Xiao took a deep breath and directly interrupted the other party. Is there any way to recover? The other side was silent for a few seconds, then spoke cautiously. The group is definitely going bankrupt. Why don't you ask the head of the Liao family to let him rebuild a group? Under extreme anger, Liu Xiao smashed the phone on the ground. Her years of hard work were gone in just a few minutes. Even if her mental strength was strong, she could not accept such a fact. She suddenly turned to look at me, her eyes filled with murderous intent. Aunt, kill him! Kill him for me! Liu Xian nodded lightly. She looked at me and spoke slowly. Originally, I didn't want to kill you, but you touched my bottom line. I was suddenly a bit speechless. Liu Xiao had said the same thing back then, and in the end, her dog legs were broken by me. I spoke directly. My patience is limited. Give me the peace offering now, otherwise I don't mind making you lose a little more. The murderous intent in Liu Xian's eyes grew even stronger. She stared fixedly at me and said, "That depends on whether you have the ability." Although the Liu group is gone, the Liu family will be severely wounded. But the Liu family doesn't just have the Liu group. The foundation of the Liu family in Yun City is the underworld forces. The Cloud Gang is under my control, Yu Xian. I smiled coldly. Since you've said so, if I don't do something, I'd be letting you down. After saying this, I put the phone to my ear. Can we start? Liu Xian's brow furrowed. Liao Xiao suddenly shouted, "Aunt! Kill him! Kill him quickly! This man is too weird!" She was truly afraid of more complications. Liao Xian didn't want to waste any more time. Just as she was about to order her men to act, the phone rang again. She and Liu Xiao both caught their breath. The next moment, the two suddenly looked at me, their faces full of shock and unease. I smiled faintly and raised my hand in a please gesture. The unease in their hearts was magnified infinitely. After hesitating for 2 breaths, Liu Xian bent down to pick up the phone from the ground and pressed the answer button. "Boss, it's bad. Someone suddenly charged into the Cloud Gang headquarters. The headquarters is suffering heavy casualties now. The brothers probably won't last much longer." The moment the voice fell, Liu Xian's figure became unsteady and she suddenly stumbled back a step. She quickly forced herself to calm down and asked, "The other side only has 12 people?" The other side said, "They are all warriors. We are no match." Liu Xian asked, "How much longer can you hold?" The voice on the other side suddenly started trembling. "Can't hold anymore." Before the words finished, a shrill scream was heard, followed by a boom, and the person on the other side fell. The call was not hung up. Soon a voice came through the phone. "Help me tell the boss. Task completed. The Cloud Gang is destroyed." The moment those words fell, Liu Xian felt as if her head had been hit hard by a hammer, suddenly falling into a blank space. The hard work of more than half her life was destroyed by someone in just a few minutes. The Cloud Gang was gone. The Liu family had lost its biggest capital in Yun City. Liu Xian was hit so hard she almost collapsed. Liu Xiao was also stunned like an idiot. She stiffly raised her head to look at me, as if looking at a demon. After a moment, she turned to look at Liu Xian, her voice hoarse. "Aunt, if he doesn't die, my Liu family will never have a day of peace." Hearing this, Liu Xian regained her senses. A towering murderous intent appeared in her gaze as she looked at me. "You are very smart. Knowing that to deal with you, I gathered all the experts of the Cloud Gang. But now I will make you understand that in the face of absolute strength, your little tricks are useless." After speaking, she ordered the people behind her. "Everyone, go together. Kill everyone on the opposite side." Everyone answered in unison. Lin Feifan trembled at this momentum. He hurriedly stood out. "Head of the Liu family, I am Lin Feifan from the Earth City Lin family. I am not with this bastard." Liu Xian's eyes suddenly narrowed. "People from the Earth City Lin family?" Lin Feifan nodded repeatedly. Yes, I am the biological grandson of the Earth City Lin family head. My uncle is 3-star High Commander Lin Chuan." No one stepped forward. The surrounding atmosphere became a few degrees more solemn. When Tianxi's voice fell, Disha suddenly stepped out from behind me. A wave-like powerful aura swept in all directions. She looked indifferently at the crowd ahead, as if she could trample the whole world under her feet. One of the 3 emperors, Sand Emperor, Disha. As soon as Disha's voice fell, 2 powerful auras erupted not far away. The next moment, 2 figures appeared on the north and south sides. The person on the south side wore a blue ear stud. His voice was gentle, but carried a soul-piercing momentum. One of the 3 emperors, Zither Emperor Qin. The person on the north side erupted with a towering battle intent. One of the 3 emperors, War Emperor Zan. As soon as Dijan's voice fell, the momentum of all the Earth Palace people suddenly erupted. Liu Xian's legs could no longer support her. She seemed to lose all her strength and flopped onto the ground, and the more than 200 people who had charged toward me before were now extremely close to me, feeling the terrifying momentum of these people even more clearly. Their eyes brimmed with fear, and their bodies couldn't stop trembling violently. Not only the Liu family side, but at this moment, Jiu Yu and Lin Feifan were also looking at me in shock. As people from the great families of Earth City, they had naturally heard the great name of the Earth Palace. The high-level members of their families had given thousand-fold instructions and 10,000-fold warnings. Never, ever provoke members of the Earth Palace. Now so many people from the Earth Palace appeared here. When they appeared, they seemed to say their princess was here. So who was their princess? Thinking of this, Jiu and Lin Feifen's gazes simultaneously landed on me. But the next moment, both shook their heads. Impossible. How could the princess of the Earth Palace be under 20 years old? And how could she be an ex-convict? However, the next moment, everyone from the Earth Palace knelt toward me simultaneously, their voices respectful and devout. We subordinates pay respects to the princess. At this moment, the minds of Jiu, Lin Feifen, and everyone on the Jiu side went completely blank. The surroundings instantly became quiet enough to hear a needle drop. However, facing this heart-shaking scene, I just nodded calmly. Rise. I slowly raised my eyes and looked at Liu Xian, who was slumped on the ground. I gave you a chance before. My voice was so light that no joy or anger could be heard. But it was this very voice that made Liu Xian's heart sink to the bottom. She looked at me stiffly. At this moment, she finally understood that the Liu family had truly fallen this time. Liu Xiao shook her head lightly, murmuring, "How is it possible? He's just a brat under 20 years old. How is it possible?" Meanwhile, not far in front of me, the more than 200 thugs hired by the Liu family looked at me in disbelief. The Earth Palace was a sacred place in the heart of every martial artist, but they never dreamed that the person in power at the Earth Palace would actually be a young brat. Endless regret surged into their hearts. Their chances of entering the Earth Palace were already small, and now they had offended the ruler of the Earth Palace. It completely severed their hope of entering. I ignored the reactions of these people. I turned my gaze and landed it on Lin Feifan. I originally gave you a way out, but since you couldn't get over it, I can only fulfill your wish. You just said you wanted to set a marriage contract with her? Then be a pair of fugitives together. Hearing my words, Lin Feifen's eyes widened a few fractions. But the next moment, thinking of the nature of the Earth Palace, he tried hard to steady his mind, then fixed his gaze on me and said, "No matter how powerful the Earth Palace is, it can only behave tyrannically overseas. My uncle is a 3-star high commander. If you dare touch me, the entire War Department of the country will not let you go." I raised my eyes and scanned him indifferently, my voice calm, but carrying a bone-chilling coldness. "Then I really want to see how the War Department won't let me go after I touch you." After speaking, I tilted my head slightly. "Disha, Dijan, act!" As my voice fell, a slightly aged but majestic voice suddenly rang out. "I'll see who dares." Countless people present were startled. Everyone turned their heads toward the source of the voice. An old woman wearing a War Department uniform walked toward us alone. The Liu family crowd instantly became energized. Because her identity was sensitive, Liu Fanxing did not walk out at the beginning. She even planned not to show up if Liu Xian could handle it. But she never imagined the Liu family would be forced to this point by a brat. If she didn't come out now, Liu Xian and Liu Xiao would lose their lives. Looking at Liu Fanxing, Liu Xian and Liu Xiao immediately breathed a sigh of relief. But then, thinking of how wretched they had been made by a brat, they both lowered their heads in shame. Liu Xian sighed, her face full of self-reproach. "Big sister, sorry, it was my incompetence." Liu Fanxing shook her head. "It has nothing to do with you. Even I, this old woman, didn't expect this brat to have such a background." After she finished, her sharp eyes looked directly at me. "Brat, you are very powerful. I admit my sister and daughter are no match for you. Give me, Liu Fanxing, some face. How about we call it even today?" I looked at her indifferently. "Yesterday, for your sake, I already gave Liu Xiao a way out. As for giving you face, let alone you, even if Phoenix stood before me, go and ask her if she dares to ask for my face." Hearing me belittle the great Chief Phoenix whom she admired most, Liu Fanxing's face immediately darkened. "I admit you have some ability, but you shouldn't rely on that to look down on everything. After all, no matter how powerful you are, can you be more powerful than the War Department?" I looked at Liu Fanxing and smiled playfully. "The War Department? Can you, a tiny 1-star high commander, represent the entire War Department?" Liu Fangxing was choked by my words. She gnashed her teeth and shouted at me, "You are being disrespectful to a high commander of the War Department. I have the right to order people to throw you into prison for life." I smiled with disdain. If an ordinary person said that, they might truly be judged for offending a high-level official. But for me to say it, that is a superior training a subordinate. Liu Fanchans was stunned. Her gaze toward me turned cold. Pretending to be a high-level official? What bold nerves. I scanned her indifferently, then suddenly raised my hand. With a crisp sound, an exquisite small golden badge was flicked onto Liu Fangxing's face. Liu Fangxing instinctively caught the badge, and when she saw the pattern on it clearly, her pupils suddenly shrank into pinholes. 3 artisan stars. On the badge this brat threw casually, 3 artisan stars were actually engraved. This represented a 3-star high commander, 2 stars higher than her. Liu Fangxing gripped the badge, her knuckles turning slightly white. At this moment, she thought of the legend in the War Department who became a high commander at age 17. If Ji Yu Chen was that legend. Instantly, Liu Fangxing's old face turned pale. Meanwhile, the Liu family side looked at Liu Fangxing. An unease gradually grew in their hearts. Was that brat also a person from the War Department? And his title might be even higher than Liu Fangxing's? But the next moment, everyone rejected this idea. How could it be? The Earth Palace is an overseas organization. Becoming the princess of the Earth Palace is hard. But with good luck, it might be possible. But to become a high commander or above in the War Department is not something luck alone can achieve. A moment later, Liu Fangxing raised her head with difficulty, her voice hoarse. "Where did you get this badge?" She still held a final sliver of hope. What if this badge wasn't his? However, Liu Fangxing was destined to be disappointed. I just looked at her indifferently, a smile curling on my lips. "Commander Liu, has life been too comfortable these years? If this kind of thing wasn't one's own, would anyone dare to take it out randomly? Are they human?" The final straw that Liu Fangxing was clinging to was instantly crushed by me. Her entire brain was left with only one thought. It's over. The Liu family is finished. According to the laws of the country, for Liu Xian and Liu Xiao trying to murder a 3-star high commander, they would have to sit in prison for life. And as Liu Xiao's mother, she was also to blame. Under extreme fear, Liu Fangxing's legs suddenly softened, and she actually knelt down toward me. Instantly, the scene fell into a dead silence. Looking at Liu Fangxing kneeling before me, the Liu family was like idiots. What were they seeing? Liu Fangxing, who called the shots in the War Department, actually knelt to this brat? What's going on? What on earth is going on? Did that brat possess a War Department title higher than Liu Fangxing? But he's just a brat in his early 20s. Meanwhile, Liu Xian's breath hitched as she watched the scene. Her big sister, the biggest pillar of the Liu family, actually knelt to that brat just like that. Was it true, as he said, that his rank in the War Department was higher than her sister's? She had thought I was afraid of Liu Fangxing. At this moment, she finally realized. Me making her kneel on the ground yesterday wasn't because she underestimated the enemy, nor was it because I launched a sneak attack. It was because I possessed the strength of at least a high warrior. At this moment, she suddenly felt she was very laughable. If it wasn't for her huge misjudgment of my strength, the Liu family wouldn't have been pushed to this step. She, Liu Xian, always prided herself on being smart, but now it seemed she was truly stupid. Meanwhile, Lin Fifan, who was just celebrating his correct decision, suddenly froze in place. He stared blankly at Liu Fangxing, his brain suddenly unable to function. The scene before him almost shattered his understanding. Wasn't Liu Fangxing a high commander? How could she kneel to Ji Yu Chen? Was this tiny peasant from Yun City not only the princess of the Earth Palace, but also a high commander of the War Department? He's only 19. Near him, Ji Yu was also a bit stunned. Knowing I was the princess of the Earth Palace was shocking enough, but now Liu Fangxing suddenly came out to tell her that my title might be higher than hers. In front of Ji Yu Chen, she, the future head of the Earth City Ji Yu family, was just trash. A person like Ji Yu Chen faced the Liu family like a group of ants. He could crush them with a casual step, okay? She had actually wanted to help him just now. Was there any joke in the world funnier than this? Liu Fangxing's mood at this moment was complicated to the extreme. She looked up at me, a plea appearing in her eyes. Lord, I only have these 2 relatives left in this world. Please let them go. I just looked at her indifferently, without the slightest movement on my face. I said just now, I already spared Liu Xiao's life yesterday for your sake. But you didn't know how to cherish it. That can't be blamed on anyone. After speaking, I looked directly at Dezan and Disha nearby and spoke again. Act! Liu Fangxing's heart suddenly jumped to her throat, and she hurriedly looked at me and spoke. Even if your title is higher than mine, if you kill people in public, that is also violating the laws of the country. Hearing this, I suddenly laughed. My gaze toward Liu Fangxing turned a few degrees colder. The law? When your daughter wanted to drain my sister's blood, did she think about the law? When your sister brought people to kill me today, did she think about the law? If I were just an ordinary person, I would be dead now, and you, standing in the shadows watching all this, probably wouldn't even have shown your face. Now they have lost, and you come here to talk to me about the law? Is the law your family's? Take it out when you need it, and throw it away like trash when you don't? Liu Fangxing was choked by my words, but then she took a deep breath and spoke with righteousness. They are them, and you are you. They are just ordinary people, but you are a high-level official of the War Department. Your every word and action represent the authority of the entire country. Unless you step over my corpse, don't think about touching them. She knew that these words. It was enough for me to give him the charge of contradicting a superior, but in the face of the lives of his only daughter and sister, these were not worth mentioning. I just looked straight at him, my gaze becoming colder and colder, until finally my voice was indifferent. What if I insist on killing? Liu Fangxing took a deep breath, her gaze nevertheless incomparably firm. Then I can only report to Chief of Staff Fang Chen and let him handle the disposal. She knew that I was currently only 1 step away from the position of Chief of Staff, as long as I wanted to be the Chief of Staff. I could not make any mistakes now. If I were to kill Liu Zian and Liu Xiao, this matter concerned the laws of the lower country, and if it spread out, the impact would be quite terrible. She did not believe I dared, because this would alarm Feng Chen. As for why she looked for Feng Chen and not the other 2 chiefs, it was because Feng Chen was the head of the 3 chiefs and the most authoritative. Secondly, and most importantly, I had just said that even Feng Chen wouldn't dare ask me for face. If she were to accidentally reveal what I said in front of Feng Chen, then at least in the short term, I could stop dreaming about sitting in the position of Chief of Staff. Thinking of this, Liu Fangxing suddenly felt emboldened in her heart. Her back straightened a few degrees further. Aged but sharp, she stared closely at me. She was waiting for me to change my decision, waiting for me to explain to her that my previous words about Feng Chen not daring to ask for my face were just a slip of the tongue. However, my gaze suddenly became blood-stained, and then I suddenly turned my head, looked toward a tree not far away, and spoke unhurriedly. Chief Feng, have you seen enough? If you've seen enough, you can come out now, right? As soon as my voice fell, the surroundings became a few degrees quieter again. Almost everyone looked over. Under everyone's gaze, an aged but straight figure walked out from behind that tree. The moment Liu Fangxing saw the old man's figure, her eyes widened a few fractions. She murmured uncontrollably, Chief of Staff. However, the old woman did not look at her, but instead spoke to me with a smile. Kid, your intuition is truly sharp. I hid so well and was still discovered by you. Everyone was startled. Hearing this tone, where did it sound like he was facing a subordinate? This was clearly the tone of an elder talking to a favorite junior. Hearing this, I smiled faintly. I also didn't expect you to have a hobby for peeping. Liu Fangxing's eyes widened sharply upon hearing my words. She actually dared to use a word like peeping on the Chief of Staff. Is she crazy? However, just as she thought Feng Chen would immediately turn cold and scold me for disrespecting a superior, Feng Chen only gave an embarrassed light cough, with not the slightest intention of pursuing me. She turned her head to look at Liu Fangxing. The moment Liu Fangxing saw the old woman's figure, her eyes widened significantly. She uncontrollably called out, Chief! However, the elderly woman did not look at her. Instead, she looked at me with a smile and said, Kid, your intuition is truly sharp. I hid myself so well, yet you still discovered me. Everyone was stunned. Hearing her tone, she didn't sound like she was facing a subordinate at all. She sounded like a senior speaking to a beloved junior. I smiled faintly at her words. I didn't expect you to have a hobby of peeping either. Liu Fangxin's eyes snapped wide. He actually dared to use a word like peeping on the chief? Was he insane? However, just as she thought Feng Chen would immediately turn cold and scold me for disrespecting a superior, Feng Chen only gave an embarrassed light cough, with not the slightest intention of pursuing the matter. She turned her head to look at Liu Fangxing. Liu Fangxing recovered from the shock. She immediately stood straight, gave Feng Chen a salute, and greeted with a momentum like a rainbow. "Greetings, Chief." Feng Chen nodded slightly, but when she looked at Liu Fangxing, where was the gentleness she had when looking at me? Her gaze was cold, looking straight at Liu Fangxing, her voice revealing dissatisfaction. "Allowing your family to act lawlessly, and today publicly contradicting a superior. This is not what a high commander should do, Commander Liu." Feng Chen's attitude toward her versus me was diametrically opposite. Liu Fangxing was stunned for a moment, then she suddenly snapped back to her senses and quickly explained, "The chief is right. It is indeed my lack of discipline over my family." However, her tone suddenly shifted. "But although my family is at fault, the crime does not deserve death. Even if it truly reached the level of a death sentence, it should not be executed by Commander Gu." Liu Fangxing was completely reversing black and white. I suddenly laughed. The crime does not deserve death? Has Commander Liu not heard the principle that a life must be paid for with a life? Could it be that Commander Liu feels that after your daughter drained my sister's blood, I should still be profoundly grateful, and even set off firecrackers to celebrate? Feng Chen's gaze turned cold again upon hearing my words. Liu Fangxing hurriedly said, "Xiao only wanted to draw a little blood to save a person. She didn't think about letting your sister die, and your sister indeed didn't die, did she?" I gave Liu Fangxing a cold sweep of my eyes, having no interest in bickering with her. I looked directly at Feng Chen and said, "Chief, whether Liu Xiao wanted to drain my sister dry can be known by checking the hospital surveillance." Liu Fangxing. I've already put the words this way. She really has no way to refute. She gnashed her teeth and took a step back. "I admit Xiao did something wrong, but what about Xian? I just heard with my own ears that you wanted people to kill Xian. Surely I couldn't have heard wrong." I laughed. "The reason I came here today is because Liu Xian said she wanted to give me a peace offering. To resolve the grievance with your Liu family, I traveled 10,000 miles. I just didn't expect that your sister, who controls the gray forces of Yun City, had no intention of apologizing. Instead, she brought more than 200 people wanting to kill me. If it weren't for these friends of mine being nearby, I might already be dead." Liu Fangxing was so angry she almost spat blood. If she really wanted to send a peace offering, why would she come here? You're not an idiot. How could you believe that? Also, you are a high commander, at least an ultimate warrior. Even if everyone brought by the Liu family went up together, they couldn't touch a single hair of yours. Yet you say you were almost killed. Were you going to lie there and let them kill you? Quote, "Most importantly, if you say my sister brought people, just say that. Why do you have to emphasize that she controls the gray forces? Are you trying to highlight your role as a good citizen, or are you showing that the chief's attitude toward her isn't bad enough?" After a few breaths, Liu Fangxing struggled to swallow down her surging blood and qi, took a deep breath, and said, "You are answering what wasn't asked? I am asking what qualification you have to order the killing of Xiao and Xian." I looked at Liu Fangxing as if looking at an idiot. "Commander Liu, you are an elder of the War Department. You should know the law. Those who deliberately attempt to murder a high commander can be shot dead immediately, right? Never mind that they aren't dead yet. Even if they were, it is what they deserved." Liu Fangxing froze. She was too angry just now, and her mind was a mess. She had forgotten that the law had such a regulation. In this way, did Jiyu Chen really have no fault? Her gaze toward me suddenly changed. This man's calculation is so deep. I ignored her and looked at Feng Chen again. "Chief, Liu Xiao attempted to kill a 6-year-old child, and Liu Xian brought people to kill a high commander. How to handle this? You decide." Liu Fangxing's heart constricted. Fearing the chief would make a decision directly, she hurriedly spoke. "Chief, they are at fault, but it is not as serious as he says, and no one died. I begged the chief to let go of these 2 relatives of mine." My gaze became colder. It is precisely because they have a high commander as a backer that they dare to act so lawlessly. If all family members of high-level officials acted this wildly, the country wouldn't need to wait for invaders. It would be played to death by its own War Department. Liu Fanqing wished she could bite me to death. For every word she said, I had a counter. She had never been this aggrieved. She wanted to say more, but Fengshen raised her hand to interrupt. In today's matter, the Liu family indeed does not hold the logic. If I let this go because you plead, how will I handle it if other high-level members have similar situations in the future? She then looked at the crowd from the War Department following behind her and said, "Come, first grab Liu Xiao, Louisiane, and this Mr. Lin, and put them into the Yun City prison. How to handle them will be decided by the court." Liu Fanqing's heart sank. Lin Pfeifen was terrified. "Chief! My uncle Lin Chuan is a 3-star high commander. I only had a slight conflict with him, and he broke both my hands. You can't do this to me." Fengshen gave him a faint glance, unmoved. "Lin Chuan is Lin Chuan, you are you." Seeing Liu Fanqing's pleading face, Fengshen's aura turned cold. "If you are still unsatisfied, it can only be handed over to Commander Ji to handle." Liu Fang's face changed, and she hurriedly said, "I accept the chief's decision." She glanced at me with hatred. "But, Chief, Commander Ji might not be without fault. He said he wouldn't even give you face. He called you by your name directly and used the word peeping. He simply doesn't respect you. With this arrogant character, he will cause a great disaster sooner or later." Fengshen frowned. "What are you trying to say?" Liu Feng continued. "Commander Ji is too young. His seniority is too shallow. Do you know how the veteran members felt when a brat not even 20 years old became a 3-star high commander? They galloped across the battlefield their whole lives, yet they are not as good as a brat whose hair hasn't even grown in. To not break their hearts, and to give him time to wash away his arrogance, I suggest demoting him to Ultimate Commander until he is at least 30 years old." I laughed coldly and turned to Fengshen. "Chief, since so many people feel I am not suitable, don't bother demoting me. Just let me leave the War Department directly. My protection of the country was only because of a promise to a friend. If the War Department feels I am unworthy, I don't need to risk my life. I don't even need to be in a hurry to unseal that gold plaque." The surroundings fell into silence. Everyone looked at me as if I were a madman. Liu Fanqing didn't believe her ears. Leave the War Department? Liu Fanqing looked at me with mockery and disdain in her eyes. Did she really think the Jia Kingdom's War Department would cease to function without him? If the Great Chief could be threatened by someone like him, she wouldn't have reached her current height. By using such tactics to threaten the Great Chief, he was merely spinning a cocoon around himself. He would surely regret it. While Liu Fanqing was still lost in thought, Fengshen looked over at him. In those majestic, inviolable eyes, a hint of killing intent actually appeared. "Did you not hear me tell you to shut up? From now on, if you say another word, you will be the one whose title and rank are demoted." At this moment, Fengshen truly felt like killing Liu Fanqing. One must understand that while the War Department could currently provide almost no help to me, the War Department needed me to do many things, and it had invisibly placed shackles upon me. I could completely leave the War Department and be a carefree princess of the Earth Palace. However, the Xia Kingdom's War Department truly could not exist without me. Once I left, the Heavenly Wolf Regiment I previously led would certainly fall into chaos, and the Xia Kingdom, currently besieged by several countries, would inevitably fall into peril. Precisely because of this, she had wanted me to become the 4th Great Chief since a year ago. Unfortunately, I found my current state too comfortable and had rejected her twice in a row. Today was her 3rd time coming here, acting thick-skinned, hoping that by backing me up, she could show me her attitude and get me to agree to become the 4th leader. Yet this fool, Liu Fanqing, actually asked her to lower my rank. How could she not be furious? Liu Fanqing was completely dumbfounded by Fengshen's words. He didn't understand why Fengshen told him to shut up, and even less why, despite me threatening to quit the War Department, Fengshen didn't kick me out immediately, but instead told him to shut up. What kind of logic was this? What exactly was Fengshen thinking? Before Liu Fanqing could figure it out, Fengshen suddenly looked at me. On that face that was extremely majestic just a moment ago, a hint of embarrassment appeared. The voice that came from her mouth was like a sudden bolt of thunder from a clear sky, leaving the brains of Liu Fanqing and everyone present blank. Fengshen continued. Jiyu Chen, Commander Liu has gone senile. I apologize to you on his behalf. And to show my strong opposition to his suggestion, I am raising your rank by another level. Starting today, you are the 4th Great Chief of the War Department. As the words fell, everyone felt as if they were struck by lightning. They even thought they were hallucinating. The 4th Great Chief. The current 3 Great Chiefs had all made gargantuan contributions to the Xia Kingdom. And looking through the entire history of the Xia Kingdom, not a single person had been promoted to Great Chief at my age. Yet now, Feng Chen was letting the under 20-year-old me become a Great Chief. Ji Yu stared at me blankly. She thought he was the strong one coming to help the weak. But it turned out I was not only the Princess of the Earth Palace, but also a High Commander. And now I had become Great Chief Ji Yu. Ji Yu stared at her blankly. She had thought he was the strong one coming to help the weak, but it turned out she was not only the Princess of the Earth Palace, but also a High Commander. And now she had become Great Chief Ji Yu. She had always been the most outstanding among her peers, but at this moment she felt incredibly humble. Compared to me, she was trash. If she had known she would experience this before coming, she wouldn't have come even if her grandfather beat her to death. Lin Feifan was also instantly stunned. Just now he hadn't clearly seen the badge. I slapped onto Liu Fangqing's face and thought I was, at most, a 2-star High Commander. But now Fen Chan said I was a Great Chief, the 4th Great Chief of the Xia Kingdom's War Department, a major figure who could make the Lin family tremble with a stomp of her foot. Yet he had previously thought I was a lowly girl. At the same time, Liu Fangqing recovered from the massive shock. He had suggested demoting me to an ultimate commander, but Feng Chen responded by promoting me to Great Chief. This was a naked slap to his face. Liu Fangqing turned his head stiffly, his gaze toward me full of resentment. He felt, on what basis does someone so young get to sit in a position that I can't even dream of in this lifetime? Once I became a Great Chief, unless I committed a major crime like treason, no one could pull me down. Thinking of this, Liu Fangqing ignored Feng Chen's warning and earnestly advised, Chief, every Great Chief represents the entire War Department, and even the will of the Xia Kingdom. If foreign nations find out the Xia Kingdom put a 19-year-old girl into this position, they will surely think the War Department is incompetent, which might even cause the entire country to fall into chaos. I hope the chief does not joke about such matters. Liu Fangqing was afraid of being interrupted by Feng Chen and said it all in one breath. After hearing this, Feng Chen stared at Liu Fangqing, wishing she could sew his mouth shut and chop him up to feed the dogs. If it weren't for Liu Fangqing today, her request for me to become the Great Chief would have been a perfect alignment of time, place, and people. She was confident she could get me to agree. But such a great opportunity was ruined by this idiot. She knew my personality. Since I had opened my mouth to refuse, it was impossible for me to change my mind and agree today. This was the 3rd invitation. As the saying goes, things don't happen a 4th time. After today, it would be very hard to get me to agree again. As long as I didn't sit in the chief's position, I could resign from my duties at any time. Feng Chen took several deep breaths to suppress the urge to kill Liu Fangqing. Then, she suddenly looked at a soldier and spoke coldly. Starting today, Liu Fangqing is demoted from High Commander to Medium Commander. From now on, he shall not receive any rank promotions. Liu Fangqing clenched his fists. Chief, I know I am nothing in your eyes, but I have been in the War Department for so many years. Even if there is no glory, there is hard work. I need you to give me a reason for shielding Ji Yu Chen like this. Feng Chen looked coldly at him. Shielding? Liu Fangqing, is it that the Xia Kingdom has been too peaceful lately that you've forgotten the rules of the War Department? Based solely on your attitude when speaking to me and Commander Ji Yu, I could handle you according to the regulations. Liu Fangqing's heart tightened. He gritted his teeth and looked straight at Feng Chen. I accept all punishments, but I still want to know, how is she, an under 20-year-old girl, worthy of sitting in the position of Great Chief? Feng Chen glanced at him. With your rank, you are not qualified to know. Liu Fangqing held her fists and remained silent for a moment, as if ready to risk everything. Her gaze was firm. If the chief does not give me an explanation today, I might as well not stay in a decaying War Department. Fine, I will fulfill your wish, Feng Chen said. She turned to the soldier behind her. Pull up all the merits of Commander Ji Yu since she entered the War Department. The War Department member complied, took out a phone-sized display from his arm, and operated it quickly. 10 seconds later, the soldier spoke. Chief, they have been retrieved. Feng Chen said, show them to her. When Liu Fangqing looked at the first piece of information on the screen, her pupils shrank. How is it possible? As she looked at mission after mission that was impossible to complete, yet which I had passed perfectly, the shock in her eyes grew deeper and deeper. By the time she reached the end, her whole brain was numb. The data given by the chief couldn't be fake. She found it hard to believe that I could create such miracles. Feng Chen looked coldly at Liu Fanxing and spoke. "Now, does my decision still have any meaning to you?" Liu Fanxing shook her head, endless regret surging into her heart. Not worthy to ask. Promoting her would hurt the veterans. These things were nothing in the face of my achievements. At this moment, she finally understood how wrong she had been, and she understood why Feng Chen was angry. I stayed in the War Department entirely out of old sentiment. Once I was completely disappointed, I could leave at any time, causing an irreparable loss to the Xia Kingdom. Thinking about how she had suggested demoting me out of resentment, Liu Fanxing wanted to slap herself. Feng Chen didn't look at Liu Fanxing again. Instead, she looked at me solemnly. "Ji Yu Chen, I'll keep the chief's position open for you. Whenever you are willing, it is yours." I smiled faintly, a rare hint of warmth appearing. "I've received news of my lover's whereabouts in the Xia Kingdom. Regarding the chief's position, let's talk after I find him." Thinking of him, a sharp glint appeared in my eyes. Feng Chen was stunned. Then wild joy appeared on her face. Her interpretation was that once I found my lover, I would take over as the War Department's great chief. She believed that with my ability, as long as that person was alive, it was impossible for me not to find him. This meant I would agree. Sooner or later, Feng Chen felt the surprise came too suddenly. Suppressing her excitement, she asked me, "Is there any news about him?" I didn't hide it and said, "Possibly at the Earth City Academy." "Earth City Academy?" Feng Chen said hurriedly, as if remembering something. "The Dean of Earth City Academy was sent by the War Department and is about to retire. The candidate for the new dean hasn't been decided yet. Why don't you go there and serve as the acting dean for a few days? It will make things more convenient." Feng Chen said she was letting me be the acting dean. Although my status was overqualified for a dean, I could decide when to step down. This arrangement was very considerate. I smiled faintly. "Fine, but do not announce my identity publicly. Also, prepare an admission letter for the academy for me. Unsealing the gold plaque I got from the Li family might require the cooperation of the academy's high-level officials. The dean's identity is indeed convenient, but to find my baby, a student identity is better." Jiang Xiki asked, "Princess, are you entering Earth City Academy as a student?" I asked, "Is there a problem?" Jiang Xiki shook his head hurriedly, his expression complex. No. He had received a notice 3 days ago that he would be in charge of the freshman military training in 10 days. In other words, the freshman he would be training included his own princess. How is this any different from asking him to die? Feng Chen didn't notice the change in Jiang Xiki's expression. She nodded. "Fine, I will have someone send it to you." After speaking, she ordered people to take Liu Xian and the others to the Yun City prison and then left. A moment after they left, the screen on D1's arm flashed twice. She looked down and then looked at me solemnly. "Boss, news received. Traces of your lover have been found in the Chen family of Yun City." I was startled. Di Qing continued, "The Chen family's younger daughter, Chen Wan-er, has been a joke since she was a child, but her personality suddenly changed a while ago and fits the characteristics you gave perfectly. This is a photo of Chen Wan-er. Take a look." Di Chen placed the phone in front of me. The girl in the photo was about 20 years old, her skin delicate like a doll's, and the aura around her was impeccably clean. I was stunned because the eyes and brows of the girl in the photo were somewhat similar to my baby from my past life. I took a deep breath, calmed my emotions, and looked toward Disha. "Check the location of the Chen family. We're going now." The bank incident and the inspectorate. Meanwhile, my mother was sitting at the counter of Saturday Bank. The bank clerk, who was originally indifferent, widened her eyes. The computer screen showed a balance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, then 7 or 8 zeros. 1 billion. The bank clerk stared at that string of numbers, his breathing becoming rapid. He had worked at the bank for 3 years and had never seen so much money. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his emotions, then observed my mother carefully. She didn't look like a rich person at all. Greed arose in the clerk's eyes. 1 billion! Even if he only took a tenth, it would be enough for a lifetime. He quickly suppressed his excitement and questioned my mother coldly. "Where did you get this card?" My mother replied hurriedly, "My daughter gave it to me." Hearing the answer, the clerk's expression turned cold. "How old is your daughter?" What does she do? My mother frowned. Does this have anything to do with me withdrawing money? The clerk's face grew even colder. Today you must explain the origin of this card clearly to me. The hostess, who had brought my mother into the bank, heard the clerk's aggressive words and, as if suddenly reacting, gave the clerk an inquiring look. The clerk nodded slightly to her and made a 10 gesture. The hostess gasped, and her face darkened as she looked at my mother. Speak! How did this card come to be? Is it yours or your daughter's? Was it found or stolen? Feeling the aggressive pressure from the two, my mother reached out to take the card back from the reader. I'm just withdrawing money, but you're treating me like a criminal. I won't withdraw it anymore. Seeing this, the hostess quickly reached out and snatched the bank card away. This card is of unknown origin. I think either you or your daughter stole it. Come with us to the bureau. When we were 10 minutes away from the Chen family, I received a phone call. My mother had been taken to the inspectorate. The aura around me dropped several degrees. Without hesitation, I headed straight to the Yun City Inspectorate. Inside the detention room of the Yun City Inspectorate, my mother was handcuffed and sitting in an interrogation chair. 3 people stood opposite her: the hostess, the bank clerk, and a middle-aged fat woman, Vice Chief Wang of the Yun City Inspectorate. Vice Chief Wang slapped a piece of paper in front of my mother and said coldly, "The confession has been prepared for you. Sign it." My mother looked at the 3 people who had forcibly brought her here and were forcing her to plead guilty. "This card was not stolen!" Vice Chief Wang looked at her and sneered. "Not stolen? Do you know how much money is in this card? Looking at these rags you're wearing, it's impossible for you to be rich. As for your daughter, she was in the Yun City prison before and just got out yesterday. You say she gave this to you? Even if she had godlike abilities, it would be impossible for her to get 1 billion in prison." My mother was stunned, her eyes filled with disbelief. 1 billion? She felt as if a bomb had exploded in her head. There was actually 1 billion in that card. Seeing this, the hostess looked coldly at my mother. "Help yourself. As long as you admit you stole this card from our bank and hand it over to the inspectors as contraband, we won't pursue your daughter's responsibility." Vice Chief Wang nodded. "As long as you sign the confession, considering you confessed voluntarily, we will give you a light sentence. Otherwise, you won't have a good end, and your daughter will certainly die. Choose. Confess voluntarily for a reduced sentence, or kill your daughter just to avoid going to jail." My mother asked, "On what basis do you decide this card is stolen?" Although she didn't know how I had so much money, she didn't believe I stole it. Moreover, she wasn't stupid. If I could steal 1 billion, how could I still be safe? If Saturday Bank had 1 billion stolen, how could there be no news at all? Vice Chief Wang looked coldly at my mother and warned, "I'll give you 1 minute. If you don't sign, I will have someone bring your daughter here, and then you will both die." My mother said firmly, "This money was not stolen by my daughter. You are arresting people without any evidence. I want to see your superior." Vice Chief Wang laughed out of anger. "You pauper? What right do you have to see my superior? You want evidence, right? I'll give it to you." After speaking, she walked to my mother and grabbed her wrist forcefully. My mother struggled. "What are you doing? Didn't you want evidence? I'll give you evidence right now." Wang Pride opened my mother's hand and pressed her index finger hard into the ink pad. With a smirk on her face, she was about to press my mother's finger onto the confession. Just as the finger was about to land, the door to the detention room was kicked open. I walked in slowly, my body so cold it seemed capable of freezing the air. Seeing Vice Chief Wang grabbing my mother, my aura dropped to the freezing point. My mother said, "Chen." Vice Chief Wang recovered from her shock and shouted outside the door, "Someone, come and take this woman down." Outside the room, the inspector I had just kicked out struggled to crawl up. One of them pointed a weapon at my head, while the others surrounded me with electric batons. I only stared at Vice Chief Wang. "Was it you who grabbed my mother?" Vice Chief Wang snorted. "I didn't just grab her, I grabbed you too. If you're smart, give up resistance now." The hostess and the clerk also looked at me excitedly, as if 1 billion would be theirs. The hostess stepped forward with a sneer. "I heard you just got out of prison. Trash like you should be shot directly." The clerk nodded and looked at the inspector pointing the weapon at me. "What are you waiting for? Does a piece of scum who commits a crime right after release need any mercy? Kill her immediately." My mother struggled violently. "Let me go! Even if I die, I won't let you touch my daughter." "Don't worry, nothing will happen," I said. At this moment, the 4 inspectors swung their electric batons toward me. However, silver needles pierced the air, and they collapsed. Vice Chief Wang pulled her weapon and fired, but the bullet reflected back, piercing through her knee. The clerk and the hostess were stunned. I stepped on the back of Wang's hand. The sound of silver needles piercing the air rang out. In the next moment, several people went limp and collapsed to the ground. Vice Chief Wang and her 2 subordinates froze instantly. The hostess gasped. How is this possible? Vice Chief Wang pulled a weapon from her waist, aimed it at my head, and pulled the trigger without hesitation. The sounds of the bullet leaving the barrel and then being deflected occurred in quick succession. Immediately after, a blood-curdling scream erupted from Vice Chief Wang's mouth. The bullet had actually been reflected back, piercing through her knee. The counter-clerk and the hostess were dumbfounded. I looked indifferently at Vice Chief Wang, who was rolling on the ground in pain, walked slowly to her side, and stepped on the back of her hand. Feeling her fingers about to be crushed by my weight, Vice Chief Wang's eyes widened, her voice trembling. "You dare to attack inspectors? Do you want to die?" The corners of my lips curled up as the force on my foot suddenly increased. Several loud cracks echoed, the sound of breaking fingers, sounding extremely jarring in the quiet room. The pain reached the heart. Vice Chief Wang's scream was 10 times louder than before, and she was on the verge of fainting. Seeing this, the counter-clerk and the hostess gasped, looking at my mother with expressions of pure disbelief. In their minds, they had thought she was just an ordinary woman. They never expected her to have such a ruthless son. The hostess muttered to herself, Are they really mother and son?" I looked up at the 2 of them. They shivered. The hostess trembled. "I'm telling you, this is the inspectorate. Don't act recklessly." The counter-clerk nodded frantically. Yes, as long as you don't touch us, we can help you testify that Vice Chief Wang just accidentally fell down on her own." I chuckled. Before I could speak, Disha stepped quickly into the detention room. "Boss!" Behind Disha was Chief Zhang, the same man who had previously appeared at the hospital attempting to back up Liu Xiao. Chief Zhang. The 2 employees looked at Chief Zhang as if seeing a savior, their faces instantly lighting up with the joy of surviving a disaster. The hostess pointed at me and screamed, "Chief Zhang, he attacked inspectors! Apprehend him quickly!" Chief Zhang's breathing hitched. I looked at Disha and ordered coldly. My mother's hand was injured because of them. Smashed both of their hands. The hostess and the clerk widened their eyes. They couldn't believe that even with Chief Zhang present, I would still dare to move against them. The hostess watched Disha approach and panicked. "You dare! This is the inspectorate. Chief Zhang is right here." However, before she could finish, an intense pain shot through her hands. Simultaneously, the sound of bones shattering came from the clerk's wrist. Chief Zhang didn't even look at them. He walked nervously to my stunned mother, unlocked her interrogation chair and handcuffs as fast as possible, and lowered his posture. "Are you all right, ma'am?" "It was my poor management that caused you this distress." My mother shook her head. "No." Watching Chief Zhang's actions, Vice Chief Wang screamed, "Chief Zhang, you can't just let him go so easily!" I looked down at Vice Chief Wang and slowly lifted my foot, stomping down again. Another series of finger-breaking cracks followed. This time, Vice Chief Wang directly blacked out from the pain. I looked at my mother. "Mom, how do you want to handle them?" My mother snapped back to her senses and asked hurriedly, "Chen, they said there's 1 billion in the card you gave me. Is it true?" I nodded. Use it for now. Tell me when it's gone, and I'll transfer more to you." My mother's face was full of worry. "Chen, where did you get so much money?" I smiled faintly. "This money is from a legitimate source. Don't worry about spending it. There won't be any problems." She asked worriedly again, "How did you earn so much? Will there be danger?" I was slightly surprised. I thought she would be worried about the money being illegal, but she was only worried about my safety. My gaze warmed. "Don't worry. Almost no one in the whole Xia kingdom can hurt me." Chief Zhang was shocked hearing my arrogant claim. He knew I had come from that place and should be very strong, but he didn't expect me to make such a bold statement. However, he believed every word. His gaze became even more respectful. I turned to him. "These 3 just tried to kill me. I'll leave the follow-up to you. Don't disappoint me." Chief Zhang nodded quickly. "Understood. Vice Chief Wang knowingly violated the law and will be punished to the fullest extent. The other two are accomplices. At the very least, they will spend the rest of their lives in prison. I nodded, took my mother out, sent her back to the hospital, and instructed Disha to take good care of her. Just as I was preparing to head to the Chen family again, I received news of a banquet at the Global Century Hotel. I arrived at the hotel entrance. A clean-looking boy stopped me. Ji Chen? I raised an eyebrow. Liu Xuan. The original owner of this body was weak and had no friends in junior high, but he had once unintentionally saved Liu Xuan, who then viewed him as a savior and was his only friend. Liu Xuan walked up worriedly. Ji Chen, I waited at the Yuncheng prison gate all day yesterday and didn't see you. Then I went to the Lai family, but couldn't even get through the front door. Are you okay? Seeing his genuine concern, my expression softened. I'm fine. Liu Xuan breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at the hotel. I heard the Chen family booked the whole hotel today. Are you here for the banquet too? I said, You too? Liu Xuan nodded. For people like us, the only way out is to get into an academy. But the one I got into isn't ideal. Today, Senior Chen Wanner will select one person to recommend for admission to the Earth City Intermediate Academy. My mom used every connection she had to get an invitation for me to try my luck. He pulled an invitation from his pocket. To get this, my family spent 100,000 yuan. Ji Chen, what grade is your invitation? Can I see it? I didn't actually have an invitation. I don't have one, but I can go in. Liu Xuan panicked. How is that possible? There are guards checking. You'll be kicked out. Let me call my mom and see if she can get another one. Just as he was about to call, a woman's voice came from nearby. I have an extra invitation. If Mr. Jiyu doesn't mind, please accept it. Liu Xuan froze and looked over. A woman walked slowly toward us. I raised an eyebrow. I didn't know her, but her aura was clearly not that of an ordinary person. The woman stood before me and spoke nervously. Hello, Mr. Jiyu. I am the president of the Yuncheng branch of Saturday Bank. My name is Zhao Wuwei. Liu Xuan was shocked. Saturday Bank was the undisputed #1 bank in the world. Zhao Wuwei was the youngest president ever at 28 and held immense status in Yuncheng. He couldn't believe such a powerful figure was speaking to me so humbly. Mr. Jiyu, I apologize for not managing my employees well and causing trouble for you and your mother. I happen to have an extra invitation here. I hope it is useful. Zhao Wuwei handed me a top-tier invitation with both hands. Her hands were slightly trembling. Chief Zhang had given her some advice before she came. She only hoped I would be lenient because of her sincere apology. Otherwise, the fates of Liu Xiao and Liu Ziyan would be her own. Liu Xuan was stunned. Why was such a big figure apologizing so respectfully for just some trouble caused by employees? He didn't know Saturday Bank had such good service. I took the invitation. Today's matter didn't have much to do with you. I'll take the invitation. If you need help in the future, you can find me. Zhao Wuwei nodded quickly. Thank you, Mr. Jiyu. Liu Xuan watched the relieved Zhao Wuwei with a sense of unreality. Jiyu Chen just got out of prison yesterday. How did he become such a powerful figure in one day? Let's go, I said, walking into the hotel before he could figure it out. Inside the banquet hall, a youth of about 20 wearing an ill-fitting military uniform was attracting a lot of attention. Huayu, your clothes are so unique. Lin Huayu suppressed the pride at the corners of his mouth and smiled modestly. It's nothing special, though they do have quite a history. Seeing everyone's curiosity, Lin Huayu introduced, My sister brought this back from the military. I heard it was designed by a legendary figure who became a senior commander before the age of 20. A gasp erupted. A senior commander before 20? Is it that person? The one who could become the 4th great chief at any time? Lin Huayu looked surprised. You know about that great figure? The crowd took his response as confirmation and gasped in shock. Just then, Liu Xuan and I walked in. A classmate saw me and shouted, Look! His clothes look just like Huayu's. Everyone looked over. Not only did they look alike, mine looked like an upgraded version. Lin Huayu's face darkened. He had just bragged about the rarity of his clothes, and now someone appeared in a similar but clearly higher quality version. It was a slap in the face. Suddenly, someone recognized me. Isn't that Jiyu Chen who was sent to prison? He's actually out, but a convict has no right to attend today's banquet, right? The crowd whispered. Lin Huayu looked at me with disdain, then walked over with a fake smile. Jiyu Chen, why didn't you tell me you were out? He looked at me with pity. I heard your family is having some difficulties. If you had told me, I would have treated you to a good meal. You didn't have to come here to beg for food. Did you bring these clothes out of prison because you had nothing else to wear? Come, I have some spare clothes that will fit you better. I looked him up and down and chuckled. According to the laws of the Xia Kingdom, any non-military personnel who illegally wears a military uniform faces at least 3 years in prison. How many years do you want to serve? The room fell into a dead silence. Almost no one knew such a law existed, but that didn't mean it didn't. One person quickly searched on their phone and cried out, "It's true! Someone was sentenced to 3 years for this last year." The crowd turned stiffly toward Lin Huoyu, who was now pale with fear. He took a deep breath and tried to calm down. "Ji Yu Chen, I know you don't like me, but you shouldn't curse me to be locked up like you. That law is for people impersonating military personnel to scam others. I'm just wearing a gift from my sister. How is that breaking the law?" I looked at him calmly. "What is your sister's name?" Lin Huoyu felt a sudden wave of panic. "My sister is a middle commander. Her information is classified. I can't tell you her name." "A middle commander in Yuncheng named Lin? Shouldn't be hard to find," I noted. Lin Huoyu got even more nervous. He glanced at a dark-skinned boy who immediately stepped forward and interrogated me. "You say Huoyu will be sentenced for wearing those clothes, but what about you? Why do you dare to wear them?" Under the suspicious gaze of the crowd, I curled my lips. "Who told you I'm not with the military?" The crowd was stunned. The dark-skinned boy barked. "You just got out of prison 2 days ago. How could you be in the military?" I raised an eyebrow. "Who told you that you can't join the military while in prison?" The boy's face went cold. "Trash, do you think we're stupid?" Before he could finish, he screamed as he was sent flying 3 or 4 meters, slamming into the ground and fainting instantly. The crowd gasped as I retracted my fist. Lin Huoyu's gaze changed, but he quickly ran to the boy's side. "Zhang Tian, are you okay?" He looked up at me. "He just asked you a few questions. How could you hit him?" I looked at him indifferently. "You should be glad you didn't swear at me, or you'd be the one lying there right now." Lin Huoyu realized I had truly changed into someone who terrified him. I turned my gaze to the crowd. From now on, I don't want to hear anyone use insulting words toward me. "Do you hear me?" The hall was silent. My aura grew colder. "Did you not hear me?" A few terrified people stammered. We heard you." Others remained silent but didn't dare to oppose me. Just as Lin Huoyu was about to explode with frustration, a cold, authoritative voice rang out. "What is going on here?" The crowd looked over to see a middle-aged woman. "Manager Kai!" It was the hotel's lobby manager. Lin Huoyu's eyes flashed with joy. "Manager Sakai, my friend was knocked unconscious. Is there a doctor?" Manager Kai's face darkened. "Who did this?" Lin Huoyu looked at me, then quickly looked away as if frightened. Manager Kai glared at me. "Was it you?" I nodded. "It was." Seeing my fearless attitude, Manager Kai narrowed her eyes. "You blind fool. Do you think this is a place where you can act wild?" She turned to the guards. "Seize this reckless brat!" I looked at the dozen guards approaching and gave a kind reminder. "I'm here to find someone today and don't want to destroy this place. You'd better ask the person in charge before moving against me." Manager Kai sneered. "I need permission to deal with someone like you? What do you think you are?" "Guards, take him down." The crowd looked on with schadenfreude. The last person who caused trouble here had their legs broken. I even dared to speak boastfully in front of Manager Kai. If Manager Kai let me go, she wouldn't even be able to keep her position as lobby manager. Lin Huoyu looked at me being surrounded, the corners of his mouth curling into a cold smile. He stared at me as if he could already see me kneeling and begging for mercy. The hands of the 2 bodyguards were getting closer and closer to me. However, at the very moment their hands were about to touch me, a panicked roar came from a distance. "Everyone, stop!" Hearing the command, the 2 bodyguards instinctively stopped their movements. Everyone looked toward the source of the sound. The person in charge of the hotel was running over at top speed, his face filled with extreme panic. Manager Tsai went to meet him flatteringly. "President Jiang, why are you here?" However, the hotel person in charge didn't give Manager Kai a single glance. Staring at me surrounded by bodyguards, his heart nearly stopped from fright. He suppressed the fear in his heart and looked at Kai Weiwei. "What is going on?" Manager Tsai thought Jiang Cheng was angry at me, so she immediately said with a smile, "President Jiang, this kid is making trouble in the hotel. Don't worry, I will break his legs to give the guests an account." Before the rest of the words could be said, Jiang Cheng raised his hand and slapped her fiercely. Manager Kai was stunned. Everyone was dumbfounded. Before the crowd could regain their senses, Jiang Cheng walked tentatively to my front. Another slapping sound rang out. This time, he didn't hit someone else but himself. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, Jiang Cheng said to me humbly, "Mr. Ji, it was my failure to manage my subordinates. I apologize for the shock you received." The crowd's brains were nearly blown by Jiang Cheng's words. Jiang Cheng was the general manager for the entire Jiangcheng region for Global Century Hotel. Even the heads of the first-tier families in Jiangcheng had to give him face. Yet he was actually apologizing to me so humbly for the reasons that he failed to manage his subordinates and didn't come to welcome me personally. They felt like they were dreaming. Lin Huayu saw Jiang Cheng bow to me, and the smile on his face froze. Before he could recover, Jiang Cheng shouted at Manager Chai and the bodyguards, "What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and apologize to Mr. Ji. If you can't get Mr. Gyu's forgiveness, you can all get out." Manager Kai and the bodyguards snapped out of their shock and hurriedly looked at me. "Mr. Ji, it was my lack of consideration that offended you. Please, a great person like you shouldn't mind the mistakes of a small person like me. Forgive me this once." Although she didn't know why Jiang Cheng was so afraid of me, she knew that if she didn't follow the order, she would truly lose her job. The bodyguards all knelt down as well, begging for my forgiveness. I glanced indifferently at Manager Kai and the bodyguards, then said to Jiang Cheng, "Fine, they were just doing their duty. If I really wanted to make things difficult for them, their arms wouldn't be on their bodies right now." Jiang Cheng's breathing hitched. He immediately looked at Manager Kai and the bodyguards. "Aren't you going to thank Mr. Ji for showing mercy?" Manager Kai and the bodyguards nodded repeatedly. "Thank you, Mr. Ji." However, though the bodyguards said it with their mouths, their eyes were full of disdain. Seeing the bodyguards' expressions, Jiang Cheng's brow furrowed. He gave me an apologetic smile. "Mr. Ji, I'm truly sorry for the previous matter. Let me take you to the best seat." I nodded and, under everyone's gaze, followed Jiang Cheng to the very front, middle seat. Just as I sat down, a hotel waiter ran over and whispered a few words in Jiang Cheng's ear. Jiang Cheng's expression changed, and he looked at me with difficulty. I looked at him indifferently. "If you have business, go ahead and be busy." Seeing me nod, Jiang Cheng breathed a sigh of relief. "The matter is indeed thorny. Thank you for your understanding, Mr. Ji." He then turned to remind Manager Kai and the bodyguards not to be neglectful, and only then did he leave the banquet hall. After a while, whispers began to rise around me. Didn't they say he just got out of prison? Why is President Jiang so polite to him? Who exactly is he? The expressions of some people looking at me changed. However, some who knew me from junior high snorted coldly, though they didn't dare reveal my identity due to Jiang Cheng's warning. Just as many people were looking at me with increasing confusion, the vice butler walked in from outside the hall. He scanned the crowd, and upon seeing me, he frowned. "Which family are you from?" Everyone was startled. The vice butler was the head butler of the Chen family. All invitations went through his hands. Now that he asked this, could it be that I had snuck in? Everyone's expression changed. Before I could speak, Lin Huayu spoke up hurriedly. "Vice butler. His name is Ji Chen. He's a member of the Li family." He then looked at the dark-skinned boy and said angrily, "He even struck and knocked my friend unconscious. Please find a doctor to give my friend emergency treatment." The vice butler's face went cold. He first ordered the Chen family members to find a doctor, then his cold gaze landed on me. The Chen family didn't invite anyone from the Lai family at all. "Men, take down this little brat who snuck into the banquet on his own." A dozen Chen family members immediately stood up and surrounded me. The bodyguards looked toward Manager Kai. Manager Kai hesitated for a moment, then shook her head at the bodyguards. This was the Chen family's banquet. If the Chen family wanted to kick someone out, they had no reason to stop it. Seeing this, the bodyguards immediately gloated. Others in the banquet hall looked at me with disdain. "So he's from a second-tier family? The Li family and the Chen family have always been at odds, yet he has the face to attend the Chen family banquet. Too shameless? He's probably after the admission qualification. A toad wanting to eat swan meat." Lin Huayu looked at the Chen family members approaching me and started laughing. "Truly a fool. Did you really think because Jiang Cheng stood on your side, you could squeeze into the upper circles? Reality will tell you that no matter how much you jump around, being born into the Lai family means you can only be a commoner, never an upper-class person, and certainly not qualified to get a Chen family invitation." Just as the irony on Lin Huayu's face grew thicker, I suddenly raised my hand. In the next moment, a top-tier black gold-stamped invitation flew out toward the vice butler's face, striking him squarely before sliding down. Before the vice butler could react, I said coldly, "Open your dog eyes and see what this is." As soon as the words fell, the scene was deathly silent. No one expected that I would dare to throw an invitation at the butler's face, nor that I would dare to speak such words. At this moment, everyone felt it was over for me. The vice butler represented the face of the Chen family. Hitting his face was equivalent to hitting the Chen family's face. To hit the Chen family's face at their own banquet, today at the very least, I would have my legs broken and be thrown out. Lin Huayu looked at the stunned vice butler, a twisted smile appearing on his face. The butler regained his senses, stiffly looked down at the invitation by his feet, then crouched down to pick it up. After opening and looking at the invitation several times, his face grew increasingly grim. After a moment, he looked up and said, "Where did you get this invitation?" I spoke indifferently. "What you need to confirm is whether this invitation is real. What does how I got it have to do with you?" Gasps immediately sounded around. Everyone thought I was suicidal. The vice butler laughed out of extreme anger. "It has nothing to do with me. Invitations are divided into grades. With your status, you wouldn't be qualified to receive this highest grade invitation, even in your next life." Everyone was startled because all the invitations were black and gold, just with different patterns. No one had noticed that my invitation's grade was wrong. Hearing the vice butler's words, the way everyone looked at me changed again. The vice butler narrowed his eyes and shouted coldly, "Speak! How did you get this invitation?" However, before I could speak, Lin Huayu suddenly shook his head and said disappointedly, "Ji Yu Chen, I thought that after being locked in Yuncheng prison for a while, you would start over. I didn't expect that after you came out, you would go even further and even steal an invitation. You've disappointed me too much." Immediately, the eyes of the crowd showed even more contempt. How could trash like this get an invitation? So it was stolen. A dog can't change from eating filth. If the big shot whose invitation was stolen can't get in, will the Chen family be in trouble? Hearing the last person's words, the vice butler's heart tightened. He immediately ordered coldly, "Take him down. If he dares to resist, execute him on the spot." The Chen family members shouted in unison and simultaneously attacked my most vulnerable parts. Seeing this, the bodyguards looked at me with anticipation alongside their gloating. They wanted to see how I would kneel and beg for mercy. After all, with the rise of Chen Wanner, the Chen family's status had soared. However, in the next moment, a series of bone-shattering sounds and accompanying screams rang out in the banquet hall. 10 seconds later, the dozen-strong men of the Chen family were all on the ground, wailing in pain. Everyone was stunned, unable to believe the reality before them. Lin Huayu's proud smile was frozen on his face. His eyes filled with terror, as if he had seen a ghost. Not far away, a group of bodyguards felt a chill down their spines. At this moment, they no longer doubted my words about breaking their arms. They felt lucky Jiang Cheng arrived in time. Otherwise, the ones lying on the floor wouldn't be the Chen family's people, but them. The bodyguards looked at me again, their gaze turning from disdain to respect, the respect for a strong person. The vice butler pointed at me, trembling. "Do you know the power of the Chen family? You not only stole an invitation, but also beat Chen family members. This is crime upon crime. I warn you to surrender immediately, or the Chen family will be at odds with you until death." Just as the words fell, an aggressive voice rang out. "The Chen family? Since when is it a servant's turn to make decisions? Or do I need your consent even to give out an invitation?" Hearing Zhao Wuwei's voice, the vice butler's face showed terror. "President Zhao!" The crowd only then regained their senses, their eyes filled with disbelief. President Zhao was a hegemon-level existence in Yuncheng. How could I be related to President Zhao? Lin Huayu was also stunned. He never imagined that not only Jiang Cheng, but even Zhao Wuwei would stand on my side. At this moment, he realized I was not as simple as he thought. Zhao Wuwei stared at the vice butler and said coldly and firmly, "Answer my question." She didn't expect that just leaving for a short while would lead to me facing such accusations. The vice butler took a deep breath and said humbly, "President Zhao, I apologize. I didn't know the invitation was sent by you." Before the vice butler could finish, Zhao Wuwei interrupted. "You didn't know? So, without any evidence, you framed my friend for stealing an invitation and even had people attack? The vice butler's breathing hitched. Under the pressure of Zhao Wuwei's sharp aura, cold sweat broke out on his forehead. President Zhao, today's matter was my mistake. You can punish me however you want. Zhao Wuwei didn't speak. She turned to me and asked respectfully, Mr. GU, how do you think this should be handled? I looked indifferently at the vice butler and said, he wanted to kill me. President Zhao, how do you think it's most appropriate to handle it? Zhao Wuwei understood and turned toward the vice butler. The vice butler's body went limp and he slumped on the floor. He had no doubt that if the Chen family head knew he offended Zhao Wuwei, he would kill him without hesitation and bring his head to apologize. The vice butler knelt directly in front of Zhao Wuwei in fear. President Zhao, I know I was wrong. Please, a great person like you should mind my mistakes. Let me go. Zhao Wuwei frowned and stepped aside. The one you should apologize to is not me. The vice butler hesitated for a fraction of a second, then quickly knelt toward me. Mr. GU, I am very sorry. Today's matter was my improper handling. Please spare me this once. I looked indifferently at the vice butler. However, before I could speak, a series of gasps rang out around us. A woman wearing a pure white formal dress with an elegant temperament walked out slowly. The men at the scene all had their eyes lit up. They had never seen such a beautiful woman. The woman seemed not to see them, her gaze skipping over the crowd to look directly at me. The moment she saw me, her breathing quickened slightly. My gaze also landed on her. Looking at Chen Wanner's beautiful face, my heart felt no waves. I was even a little disappointed. Because I had seen her photo, I recognized her as Chen Wanner at a glance. But the moment I felt her aura, I was certain she was not my baby. This woman's temperament was clean, whereas my baby was a cold, untouchable goddess. Chen Wanner felt my gaze, and a bitter smile appeared at the corner of her lips. She had given up everything to follow me here. Although the reborn me was not as handsome as in the previous life, she knew from one look at my matchless domineering aura that I was the person she was looking for. But the reality before her told her that I truly had never had feelings for her. Even with her standing in front of me, I didn't recognize who she was. While Chen Wanner was still in a sorrowful mood, Lin Huiyu suddenly stood up and ran to her side, raising his hand to grab her shoulder. However, before his hand could touch her, Chen Wanner suddenly moved, causing him to grab thin air. Lin Huiyu's face froze. Although he hadn't seen Chen Wanner for many years, she was very good to him when they were kids and even said she would marry him when she grew up. Furthermore, the Lin and Chen families intended to match them. Seeing her photo and hearing she was a 2-star student at Earth City University, he had decided he wouldn't marry anyone but her. He believed that, with his looks and background, she couldn't possibly refuse him. However, reality slapped him hard. He never imagined she wouldn't give him any face at all. The men around looked at Lin Huiyu with dissatisfaction. Huiyu, you've startled Miss Wanner. Lin Huiyu's face showed embarrassment. He wished he could find a hole to crawl into. But thinking his face was already lost, he went for it and asked Chen Wanner unwillingly, Chen Wanner, don't you recognize me? Chen Wanner looked at him indifferently and said coldly, I recognize you, but I don't like you touching me. Lin Huiyu stiffened. Chen Wanner's words were like grinding his dignity into the dirt. The men around all had their eyes lit up. Just then, a majestic voice with a hint of reproach came from the doorway. Wanner, how can you speak to Huiyu like that? Everyone looked toward the voice. Mrs. Chen and the Chen family head appeared. Mrs. Chen walked to Chen Wanner's side and said with a smile, Daughter, I didn't tell you before, but today's banquet is not just to celebrate you becoming a 2-star student, but also for everyone to witness the matter between you and Huiyu. Everyone was stunned. Chen Wanner and Lin Huiyu. What could be between them? Could it be? The breathing of many men hitched. Chen Wanner instinctively looked at me, only to find my expression hadn't changed at all. A flash of relief, but also some disappointment went through her eyes. She looked away and said with a cool, gentle voice, Why didn't you tell me before? Mrs. Chen heard the tone and felt uncertain. She still said with a smile, Father and Mother wanted to give you a surprise. The matter between you and Huiyu was agreed upon long ago. You liked Huiyu very much when you were little. Chen Wanner said, I was small then. The agreement doesn't count. As the words fell, the men on the scene all breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Chen Wanner wasn't blind. Before they could fully relax, Mrs. Chen frowned. Wanner, why don't you spend a few days with Huiyu? Chen Wanner said, "No need. I already have someone I like." Instantly, the scene was deathly silent. Countless men were heartbroken. Lin Huayu stared at Chen Wanner, his smile crumbling. He controlled his emotions and asked, "Wanner, who is that person?" Chen Wanner said heartlessly, "The person I like is here at the scene, but it's not you." Lin Huayu's legs went weak, and he stumbled back a few steps. The men around widened their eyes, some with joy in their eyes, wondering if Chen Wanner had fallen for them at first sight. Mrs. Chen spoke again. "Wanner, the one you like is..." Before she could finish, Chen Wanner smiled gently. "We'll talk when we get back." She then looked directly at the vice butler. "I heard you framed a guest as a thief?" The vice butler's body shook. Before he could speak, Chen Wanner looked at the bodyguards behind her, drag him away and handle it according to family law. The vice butler turned pale with horror. Madam, spare my life, please spare me." Mrs. Chen hesitated, but sighed helplessly. If she could really make the decision, she wouldn't have tried to use moral kidnapping to force Chen Wanner today. Unfortunately, Chen Wanner didn't buy it at all. After the vice butler was taken away, many people looked at me, guessing that the person Chen Wanner liked was me. Lin Huayu also looked at me, but after seeing my ordinary face, he instinctively shook his head. Unless Chen Wanner was blind, she could never fancy me, someone who just got out of prison and looked average. He glanced at Chen Wanner again, and his face froze. He saw her look at me with a gentle, deep-seated affection. His pupils dilated, and his face became increasingly distorted. The Chen family head, who hadn't spoken, laughed to break the strange atmosphere. "At today's banquet, we will pick a lucky winner and give out a recommendation slot for Earth City Intermediate Academy." His words successfully shifted everyone's attention. Many had come today for that slot. He continued, "Please take your seats. In a moment, Wanner will draw a seat number. The corresponding guest will be today's lucky one and can freely dispose of the admission qualification." Everyone immediately found seats. Liu Xuan also sat down and began to pray, with his hands joined. The Chen family head had a servant place the lottery box in front of Chen Wanner. She pulled out a slip of paper. Upon seeing the seat number, she was startled and looked at me with complex eyes. Then, under expectant gazes, she showed the card. "Row 1, seat 8. Everyone immediately looked toward my position. Seeing it was me, they were all stunned. A well-built, muscular guy said, "How is it possible? How can he be the one to get the academy slot?" Liu Xuan snapped out of it and stood up excitedly, trembling. "Jiyu Chen, that's great! We can go to school in Earth City together." The muscular man looked at me. "Academic scores are hard to verify here, but to enter Earth City Academy, one's martial force must pass. I previously passed the Earth City Academy's 5-stage exam. As long as you can defeat me, I will naturally keep my promise." As soon as he finished speaking, a figure blurred before his eyes. In the next moment, he was struck in the stomach by a dominant, forceful power. His body flew out, crashing into a table and smashing the table and tableware into pieces. Everyone gasped at the muscular man's miserable state. He began to howl in pain. I walked up to him. "Now, am I qualified to make you fulfill your promise?" The entire banquet hall fell into silence. Everyone looked at me as if they had seen a ghost. A powerhouse who had passed the 5-stage exam was like a weak chicken before me, completely unable to fight back. The muscular man's breathing tightened. He slowly raised his head and looked at me in disbelief, asking in a hoarse voice, "How did you do it?" I didn't speak. I just looked at him indifferently. "Your resilience is not bad." The muscular man was stunned. He hadn't expected that I would praise him instead of belittling and humiliating him as a loser from a victor's stance. He stared at me for a long time, then suddenly laughed. Enduring the pain, he moved his body and knelt before me. Looking up at me, he willingly called out, "Daddy." The people present were in disbelief. No one expected that the muscular man would fulfill such a humiliating promise, so easily and calmly shout those 2 words. Those familiar with him felt a monstrous wave in their hearts. They knew how proud he was. I looked at him without a change in expression. I raised my hand and threw a golden coin engraved with the letters XD in front of him. "Take this and report to the Yanqing Military Department tomorrow. I will arrange for someone to receive you." The muscular man froze, and joy mixed with disbelief gradually appeared in his eyes. "The Yanqing Military Department." he had a chance to enter the Yuncheng military department. In fact, compared to Earth City Academy, he wanted to enter the She Kingdom military department even more. It was no exaggeration to say the military department was the place he wanted to enter most in his life. But with his background, entering was as difficult as reaching the heavens. Now, I was letting him report there directly. Happiness came too suddenly. The crowd looked at the muscular man who had turned a misfortune into a blessing, with envy. Seeing Lin Shuangshuang's previous attitude toward me, no one doubted the truth of my words. In other words, as long as he performed well in the military department, his future would be limitless. The muscular man picked up the gold coin and looked at me gratefully. "Thank you," I nodded, seeing that I had finished handling the matters. Chen Wanner walked up to me and said with a smile, "Jiyu Chen, congratulations on obtaining the qualification to enter Earth City University. Next, you will become my junior. Have you thought about when you'll head to the imperial capital?" I felt a bit of confusion in my heart. For some reason, at such a close distance, I had a sense of familiarity with Chen Wanner. I stared at her for a moment and replied, "Tomorrow. There are still 10 days until Earth City Academy starts. I've handled my business in Yuncheng and plan to go to Earth City Academy early to find my baby." Hearing this, Chen Wanner smiled gently and said, "Me too. Why don't we go together? I can help you familiarize yourself with the environment once we get to the academy." Mrs. Chen and the Chen family head looked at each other. Didn't she say she was leaving in 7 days? Why did it suddenly change to tomorrow? The boys around us heard Chen Wanner's words and looked at me in disbelief, guessing that I was the person she liked. I was also slightly surprised by her act of invitation, but I still shook my head. If we are fated, we will naturally have a chance to meet again in the future. The boys nearby were dumbfounded. I had actually rejected the opportunity they dreamed of. A flash of disappointment appeared in Chen Wanner's eyes, but she immediately showed a gentle smile again. "All right, I respect your thoughts. I had no interest in staying at this banquet." I said goodbye to Chen Wanner and left. Looking at my retreating back, she wore a thoughtful expression. The next morning, I received a call from Dikin. "Boss, the location where the only star card in the Xia Kingdom will be unsealed has been confirmed. Like the man you are looking for. It is related to Earth City Academy." I took a deep breath. Good. Book 3 flights for the earliest time to Earth City. In the afternoon, I took my mother and sister toward Earth City. Just as we arrived at the Yuncheng airport, several pieces of shocking news were reported. Latest report: head of the Lu family Lu Xian, president of the GU group Lu Xiao, and Lin family direct line young master Lin Faifan have committed suicide in Yuncheng prison out of guilt. Latest report: before the deaths of Liu Xian and Liu Xiao, former senior military commander Liu Fanxing attempted to help them escape. He is currently in criminal detention. Latest report: Lin family young masters Lin Huayu and Lin Feifan planned to assassinate high-level officials of the Xia Kingdom military department, which is equivalent to treason. The death penalty has been confirmed. My mother looked at the big screen, paused, and then suddenly smiled. At the same time, the entire airport hall exploded with noise. Liu Xian and Liu Xiao were top-tier figures in Yuncheng, yet they died just like that. Not only them, but also 2 young masters of the Lin family, whose background was even stronger, also died. What kind of big shot did the Lin and Liu families offend? My mother was stunned by the discussions around her. The GU family wouldn't offend the equal status Lin family for her. Could GUU have done it privately? While she was confused, I took out my phone and sent a message to Di-Chin. "Chinner, well done." On the other end of the phone, Di-Chin looked at the message and curled her lips into a smile. Before the emotions in the hall could settle, Di-Chin's black-clad bodyguards suddenly poured in from outside, followed by a large number of fanatical fans. "God, Luo, look here! Look this way!" People in the hall were startled, but many reacted quickly and crowded forward. "Luo Bai. It's really Luo Bai. I heard God Luo was admitted to Earth City Academy. He's probably going early to get used to the environment." My God truly is my God. Other artists either go to theater schools, but my God got into Earth City Academy. I glanced over, then led my mother and sister toward the VIP lounge. Just as we reached the door, another commotion broke out. "Holy, a celestial has descended." After that voice rang out, many girls who were chasing Luo Bai looked over. followed by a series of exclamations. Luo Bai paused and looked toward the source of the noise. In the next moment, a flash of amazement appeared in his eyes, and his heart began to race uncontrollably. He seemed to have fallen in love with this woman at first sight. Under the amazed and infatuated gazes of the men, Chen Wanner walked into the VIP lounge. Luo Bai hesitated and did not step forward. As a popular male star, he had confidence in himself. Being too proactive offered no advantage. I glanced at Chen Wanner, but didn't greet her. I looked at my mother and Ji Yuan. "Let's go!" My mother nodded, sighing in her heart about how beautiful the girl was. Seeing my mother's expression, I shook my head with a smile. I didn't expect my mother to be so fond of beautiful faces. I didn't know what my baby would look like after rebirth, but I had a feeling she wouldn't be bad. As for me, as long as I wanted, I could restore the handsome face of my previous life at any time. Nearby, Luo Bai saw us enter the lounge and followed after some hesitation. He sat in the same row as the three of us. After Chen Wanner entered, she walked straight toward me. Luo Bai's heart accelerated as she approached, but just as he prepared to meet her, she brushed right past him and walked directly to me. She said to me gently, "You told me yesterday that we'd meet again if fated. Does this count as fate?" My mother was dazed, and Ji Yuan opened her eyes wide. "Sister, you are so beautiful." Luo Bai looked at Chen Wanner's perfect profile, his heart nearly jumping out of his chest. However, my expression was calm. I looked at Chen Wanner with a half smile. "Are you sure our meeting today is a coincidence?" Chen Wanner was startled, then smiled and looked at my mother. Quote, "Hello, Auntie. I am Chen Wanner, Ji Yu Chen's future classmate." My mother immediately greeted her warmly. "Student Chen, please sit." Chen Wanner showed her signature smile again. "Thank you, Auntie." After saying that, she sat down next to me, her gaze soft as she watched me. There are still 10 days before school starts. Does student GU plan to go directly to the academy, or find a place to settle outside first? I replied, "I'll settle my mother and sister first. I'll move into the academy dorms before school starts." Earth City Academy rules state that all new students must live in the dorms for the first year. Failure to comply leads to expulsion. As the soon-to-be acting dean, I had the right to make exceptions, but I had never experienced academy life in my previous life and wanted to try it. Chen Wanner smiled and suggested, "My family has a vacant villa in Earth City, very close to the academy. You can settle your mother and sister there first." My mother said, "That might not be very good." Chen Wanner replied gently, "In the entire academy, only student GU and I are from Yuncheng. The villa is just sitting there. Helping student GU makes it useful." My mother didn't speak and looked at me, waiting for my decision. I looked at Chen Wanner. I could feel she was deliberately getting close to me, but because of that sense of familiarity, I instinctively felt she had no ill intent. I just didn't understand what her purpose was. After a moment of thought, I nodded slightly. "In that case, I'll trouble Senior Chen." I had to admit, Chen Wanner had piqued my curiosity. I wanted to see what she was planning. Luo Bai frowned. He hesitated, took off his hat and mask, and walked toward Chen Wanner. However, at that moment, the electronic boarding announcement rang. We quickly boarded the plane and found our seats. In first class, there were only 2 people per row. My mother and sister were in one row, and my neighbor was actually Chen Wanner. She looked at me and smiled. "I told you we were fated." At this time, Luo Bai suddenly walked to my side and said to me in a commanding tone, "Can you switch seats with me?" I looked at him and said coldly, "No." Luo Bai's mind nearly exploded. He had never been rejected, but today a commoner dared to refuse him. However, several of his fans were watching. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his emotions, and stared at me. 10,000. I'll give you 10,000. Give this seat to me." I looked at him like he was an idiot. "Do you think I lack your 10,000 yuan?" Luo Bai looked at my clothes with disdain, wearing street stall clothes yet taking first class. 100,000. Give me the seat. 100,000 is enough for you to buy dozens of first-class tickets. Listening to his aggressive voice, my face turned cold. "I don't lack money. Do you not understand human speech?" Luo Bai shivered under my gaze. 200,000! Even if I have money, I'm not a sucker. Don't push your luck. As soon as he finished, the aura around me turned completely cold. I slowly pulled out a bank card and slapped it onto Luo Bai's face. Simultaneously, my cold voice rang out. 1 million. Get off this plane. First class fell into a dead silence. Luo Bai's fans gasped. Luo Bai was actually slapped in the face by an ordinary boy. Luo Bai's father was the head of the Luo group and a member of the underground palace. They thought I was crazy and that I would have no good end. Chen Wenner curled her lips. Such a dazzling version of me made it impossible for her to look away. After a moment, Luo Bai recovered, touched his burning face, and looked at me in disbelief. "You dare hit me?" Before I could answer, Luo Bai suddenly raised his hand to slap my face. He wasn't a weakling. He had gotten into Earth City Academy after all. He had only been slapped with the card because he hadn't reacted in time. This slap used 100% of his strength. He felt that if it hit, my face would be destroyed. However, just as the slap was about to land, a hand grabbed his wrist. In the next moment, a crisp, slapping sound landed on Luo Bai's face. Under the immense force, he was sent back several steps, with bright red blood sliding from the corner of his mouth. I said to him indifferently, "Just now, I only gave you money to get out. Now, this is called hitting you." The surrounding people were stunned again, wondering how I did it. Luo Bai's martial power wasn't low. They were full of shock and confusion. Luo Bai covered his injured face, suppressing a monstrous rage. Quote, "You've really made me angry." I just looked at him and said seriously, "Apologize to me now, then slap yourself 10 times and roll back to your seat. Otherwise, after getting off the plane, what you'll endure won't just be a few slaps." I could guarantee that if my mother and sister weren't here, Luo Bai would not be standing in front of me in one piece. Luo Bai was stunned. He didn't expect me to be so arrogant even after knowing his father's identity. "Fine, then let's wait and see after we get off the plane." After saying that, he gave me a deep look and went to a seat. Before the plane took off, he called his father Luo Qingcheng. He exaggerated the situation and told his father to bring more people to the airport. Then he hung up, satisfied. He turned to look at me, wondering whether he should smash my mouth or break my legs first. Soon, I received a text from Di Qin. "Boss, I can't get away. I've sent a subordinate to pick you up." 2 hours later, the plane landed at the Earth City airport. Luo Bai followed us off the plane, and his fans followed too, wanting to watch the excitement. When we reached the exit, Luo Bai's eyes landed on a middle-aged man around 40 years old with an extraordinary aura. "Dad, you're here!" Luo Bai ran to the man. Standing before Luo Qingcheng, he immediately pointed at me. "Dad, it's him! Hurry up and grab him!" As Luo Bai's voice fell, Luo Qingcheng's gaze landed on me. He immediately walked toward me. He fans behind Luo Bai looked at me with complex expressions, thinking that a talent like me was about to fall. Luo Bai had a cruel smile. He thought his father would send people to deal with me, but he didn't expect him to act personally